Okay, we're good.
Okay, so last session we started off with Dagny summoning the cartographer core, which unbeknownst to her was filled with cosmic energy. It blew everybody back, and in the aftermath, there was not only some significant damage done to the cartographer core, but there was a huge hole that went through the underground and actually penetrated the veil that was protecting Highshire. Um, Over some time, they managed to work with the Highshire elite and the Highshire guards to gather up the bodies of the Venerator and Rin and take them over to the Pillar of Commandments in hopes that will with to do with whatever the Chosen would do with Venerator's body, but in hopes of resurrecting Rin. Um, the Patrol 26, along with Elijah, managed to give account of what had happened, uh, including describing the sword that the Venerator had summoned to remove Rin from this world. Um, However, much to the dismay of Sadrius, who had once performed a miracle to bring Obosh back to Highshire, he was unable to do so with Rin because of Rin's soul actually being a entity as opposed to a actual humanoid soul. So, uh, I believe Apollinaris had wanted to destroy Rin's body, but the Patrol 26 basically pled their case, saying that despite the protestations of the Venerator believing that Rin was trying to indoctrinate others and create a cult surrounding them, they basically proved otherwise with their own testimony and with certain objects that Rin had made. And so they decided to just keep Rin's body in stasis within the Pillar of Commandments. Um, After that meeting, they went over to the Inquisition to have a talk along with a new member to the party by the name of Dismas, who was a Dampier who lived in Undershire. The uh, the stream of cosmic energy had unfortunately penetrated the sanctum that they were in, and it was somewhat damaged, uh, but things seemed all in place. So, with the new society of the Dampiers wanting to work together with the people of Highshire and provide more people to help protect the city. Unfortunately, the Chosen were not able to, I suppose, properly vet Dismas and essentially just dumped Dismas with Patrol 26 until they could figure out what to do.
To clarify, it was under Undershire.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, official name hasn't been given, but apparently it goes deeper.
yes. But Patrol 26 basically talked with Dismas and considered them well enough, though they would be keeping a close eye, at which point Obosh appeared, along with Thistle and another Highshire elite. Dagny kind of relayed the news of what happened with Mayarx and Rin, which, much to Obosh's demeanor, just realized that he saw it with the memories of the future that he still retains. Um, He mentioned a few things that were of importance, especially to Dagny, about a chest that Rin left outside the southwestern Highshire gate. Um, Dagny gave much reassurance to Obosh before he was sent back to the Pillar of Commandments, and the group was leaving the conference room to go gather disguises to be given to them by the Inquisition due to the most recent events. And that is where we find ourselves.
Indeed. Give yourself that juicy inspiration if you don't already have it.
Thank you.
As I believe at the last remark, after having that run-in with Obosh and getting details on something that Rin allegedly had left for Dagny, as well as Obosh, he would head off. As the party would leave out of the room which they had convened in to clear the air and get all the details on the table, and the Hall of the Inquisition would greet you with its prismatic display of lights through the dancing of magical flames on ornate sconces and the almost prism-like glass that is reflecting the last rays of light as Highshire would descend into nightfall. There would be the scurrying of your usual crowd of inquisitors, scholars, and those who are there on a number of different manners of business. And with no further immediate objective in front of each of you, you have the floor to act as you see fit.
Well, I think our main thing was going to the reception desk to see if there was disguises left for us, because that's what the Chosen had kind of wanted us to get done, I suppose, because of all the recent events.
Gotcha. Okay, so is everyone in essentially agreement to stick together and get these disguises before moving on?
Sure.
All right. Forward everyone would go, with Elijah mostly in tow. He's veering off away every now and again to go look at something shiny or someone interesting before coming back. He has a bit of wonder in his eyes, and would eventually catch up back to you guys before you make it to the reception desk. And he has a bit of a curious look on his face. Do you guys get to just, like, chill here? Like, whenever you want?
I suppose so. We kind of, until, I suppose for most other patrols, they kind of have to wait for another mission to be given to them. But for us, it's been pretty thorough with us having the cartographer corps and all.
So you could just chill here, like, if you wanted to? Like, this is basically your pad?
Yes,
I live in a hole.
Why live in a hole when you got this? Wow, look at all this.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I mean, you're
closer to a clubhouse more than anything.
I mean, like, you could meet all sorts of cool people, and maybe they have, like, well, I mean, maybe they have some shiny stuff that, I mean, you show off your muscles and flash that cartographer symbol, and maybe they'll be like, hey, here's a shiny thing. You know, if you're out there and need something that's going to keep you alive, rooting for the home team, I
suppose it was that way in the beginning. It's kind of less so nowadays.
What, do people decide they want to die or something?
No, it's mainly when the Inquisition is trying to acquire objects. They literally have a they basically have to write an IOU to saying that they will get the money when they have it.
And they haven't been big people, apparently.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a few people that have done something like that, and, like, they just don't ever get to the part where they're supposed to pay back, and then certain big guys find them, and then their faces pop up and turn a bunch of funny colors.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the same way, I think, when you're literally the governing power of the last humanoid city on Earth.
Yeah, they get to be an exception. But you're kind of right. Eventually, if they keep doing it, instead of it being a big guy roughing them up, it'll be the entirety of the city.
Ah.
I believe it's called a revolt.
Yes.
Could be fun, I guess. Probably bad, though. Hey,
it is bad.
Is the last human city, is that, like, I thought that was just a bunch of crap that people said underground to make sure they didn't, like, run off or something. Is that really true?
We haven't found another yet, and we've been out there a few times at this point.
I mean, we know of others, and we've definitely seen our share of ruins, but much of humanity is here in Highshire now.
We haven't found another functional city. We found just people.
Yes.
So until proven otherwise, yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, don't hurt your head over it, kid.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, I don't really know much about that.
People are people, and people will act like people.
So, what Highshire's gonna do? They gonna try to like make the world big again? Like make more people appear?
Who the fuck knows at this point? They won't tell us.
To get the people numbers back up, right? Well, it's that. What's that word that you said it was? Incest?
Shit.
That's
Whoa, this kid's a fucking riot.
I mean, yes and no, but we'll talk about that later, darling.
Well, what's wrong with incest? It sounds like a good thing for the world.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna stop you there, but
Yeah, this would be one of the instances when I say I'll tell you when you're older, but this is something that needs to be done in private so that
But
you
I was told
understand.
now. What's wrong? What did I say?
Elijah,
What?
Usually,
Later.
you don't want to be best friends with your own family.
What's wrong? Well, I don't. All right.
We could explain that later.
I don't really have much of a family, so I don't really know where you're coming from.
Understandable. Neither do I. It took me a while to learn. Right, disguises.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I should probably shut up. You know, it's
God.
like eyes are glancing out. It's like, what was I talking? What do they mean by that? As he's pondering the great mysteries of life.
as far as disguises go, I've had this idea for a while. But if I'm gonna make it work, I'm gonna need Garrock's help. Sure.
Are you going to try and be my son?
Alright. No. No. I was going to make new armor. Or try.
That I could do.
Yeah.
I have a whole forge for that, funnily enough.
Yeah, but the thing is, there are some materials that are more conductive for my runes, you see. And so we're going to need at least a half-gallon of ogre's blood, and you're going to need to use your ritual to extract the iron. And the dust from that is going to... It's basically going to help me inscribe wards on it.
Well, if you can find a willing ogre, by all means.
I mean, if you're in the Undershire, you can pretty much buy anything. If you know who to talk to.
Well, you live there and I don't. So, you would have to do the legwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're approaching the receptionist desk.
You would do so. Something of a line, but this idle chit-chat was more than enough to pass the time. And you would arrive at the receptionist. It's this halfling lady that you can see that she has an exceptionally tall stool to accommodate for her stature, or lack thereof. And she has these little rounded glasses just at the tip of her nose. She's one sneeze away from them falling off, but she seems uncaring as she's shuffling paperwork. And you would, of course, ask about receiving the aforementioned disguises. And she has a bit of a quill that she would tap against her chin as she begins to think for a second. Oh, yes. How could I forget about 26? I believe they were preparing a care package for you within the mural zone of Zula. Do you remember how to get there?
The mural?
Yes, that's correct.
Could we have
Okay.
some directions?
Yeah, I know the way. I can take us there.
Yes, on the higher levels. Let us know if you get lost.
Thank you.
I think your Inquisitor was preparing something there too. She wasn't exactly specific on it.
Okota, she passed through here?
Well, I just recently sat here, dear. If she did, I wouldn't know.
I can't wait to have that conversation. Alright then, let's go.
Yeah, I'll start leading the way towards the mural.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
I presume everybody is making their way to the Zula mural post haste.
Yeah. I'm leading the way because I remember seeing it.
I think you're the only person that's been in there at this point in the party.
The only
still.
one remaining, yes.
Yep. Jesus.
All your
All right.
friends are dead.
No, Gearbone and Ashira are still alive, as far as we know.
Mayarch's probably.
I mean,
Probably.
is Gearbond really your friend anymore? You did kind of torture him.
I
Friend.
mean, what's a little torture among friends? You feel me? You know, too far. That was that a little too tart?
I thought that was pretty funny, to be honest. You can see that for the most part, Vishanti has been keeping to himself. He seems to have developed some sort of very adamant itch in his right ear, which he seems distracted enough to continuously scratch at, which has him a bit drifting off, but he's ultimately keeping up with the party still, although he's a little out there at the moment. But you would make your way through the gilded halls to the upper levels, where only people that effectively have business to be up there are permitted to go up there, as there are plenty of Shire guardsmen that are there to filter people who are only supposed to be where they need to go. And of course, you all having the presence you do, being a part of Patrol 26, would make your way up, and you have no opposition as you climb these gilded stairs and eventually arrive at that giant double door that is almost 30 feet high, has these inscriptions engraved into the woodworks, and a complex locking mechanism that a nearby guardsman upon approach would give you an acknowledging nod and would, using a series of keys, would seemingly unlock it. As this door, much like the first time, took a long time to unlock as there's a continuous tumbling of mechanisms, before finally, after a few moments, the doors would open and the view to the inside room is clear.
I'll start walking in. Kind of look around.
Fancy.
And for those who have not been in this room before, it's this very large, semicircular, almost congressional room that has many rows of angled desks that all seem to be in observance to this centerpiece. A very large, almost marbled stone wall that is 60, 70 feet wide and about 30 feet high. And it would just be this very beautifully painted depiction of their god Zula herself. There is a notable crack at the bottom due to wear and tear, and the edges do appear to show signs of age of their own, as this painting looks to be probably almost as old as the kingdom itself. You would see that there's this circular area that is just before the mural, and there would be a person that is scrawled down on the floor that seems to be working on something on said floor. And you would, of course, see the flash of crimson red and the familiar golden locks of your Inquisitor Akoda, very busily working on something on the floor. And she doesn't even turn up as you enter, because she appears to be very busy at what she's doing.
Can I get close enough to see what she's doing?
You would make your approach along with everyone else, and you would see that there is a almost large gilded circular rune that is being constructed in the center here. Akoda has a series of some form of chalk and some engraving tools, and it looks like that whatever she's creating here is something arcane in nature and is looking to be suited up to be a permanent addition to this room.
Could I try to get a beat on what the rune means?
Sure, roll Arcana.
Gotcha. Hey, let's go.
Nice.
You know what this is for sure. This is definitely a teleportation circle that she's creating. And she's not only working with the chalks that are required for this spell, but she has masonry tools and a series of other very expensive looking components that are being inlaid into the stone. It looks like this is definitely suited to be something permanent. And with however she's making this, there's some techniques that even you don't know about how she's creating this. You imagine that when this is done, it'll be fit for use for over a long period of time. And of course,
Madam Inquisitor, if I might bend your ear for a moment.
Okoda finishes whatever part of the rune that she's currently working on, and you can see she would look up at you as well as everyone else and gives a stern nod and a low smile. 26. That's about time you rolled up. Should have been more attentive, but these are increasingly crazy times, of course. What can I do for all of you?
We were told there was a care package here for us. Somewhere.
Right. We should have given that to you sooner. Oh, yeah. And she would kind of brush off the dust from her hands. So many could-haves and should-haves. I fear we're beginning to lose our way. Yes, come over here. I'll get you suited. She's directing you to a little side alcove that has a series of different small crates, mostly these ornate-looking filing cabinets and these glass cabinet displays that have a series of scrolls and other clerical items for whatever business is conducted here at the face of the mural. And she would go off to a big wardrobe, which is wide open. And there is a series of many identically matching cloaks that are upon several pegs inside of here. And Akoda would step over to them and would take one off of the rack and would present it to all of you for viewing, as you ultimately get an explanation for what these are.
Ooh, okay.
As there is more than enough of these to be given to each of you. And she would continue to speak. I hope you're well rested within the short time that you've been back with inside the walls. Because seeing that hole created in the sky has made it abundantly clear where your priorities should lay. If you're looking for next steps to take outside the walls, well, your destination I made definitively clear in my head that you should be looking for that next cartographer. There's no doubt. Everything that's occurred, only they seem to have the answers.
Yes.
I've sent many teams already far north to try to find the site of impact of the fallen star Omen. Of all of the teams that we have sent that way, well, none of them have returned. I'd like to know more about our world before we send you off to what is quickly being perceived as the most dangerous place on the planet, potentially. You spoke to the Chosen.
We have.
And what is developed within the pillar?
I believe they're deciding what to do with the Venerator, but they're holding on to Rin's body for now.
You could make a guess at what their reactions were.
Less than pleased. That venerator. Driven mad by profit. One which held no basis. Yet it clung to her mind like a cancer and corrupted her ideology. Someone to take the position of the venerator. It's not one that's done lightly. And taking on the position as the icon of veneration is one of a particular burden, one who is accepting a deed to do things that are far darker than anyone that typically becomes an icon ever has to. Not saying that the job of your typical icon is easy anyways.
Well, when you explain it like that, it's no wonder she lost her gold.
There have been generations of those who have taken up that mantle. None have ever acted like her.
I've seen it before on a smaller scale, really. Guy gets too big for his britches, and then all of a sudden, you know, he goes a little postal. Heavy as the crown and all that.
The common denominator with this particular venerator versus one previous, the most glaring difference is her exposure that granted her prophecy in her head to begin with. The
Exposure to what?
Correct me if I'm mistaken, but you made mention that she had claimed to have spoken with and proceeded to kill a startographer.
Oh, she was working with a startographer. She was talking with him.
She claimed she killed one.
So she did. I'm not sure what to make of that. There have only now been 2 accounts of humans finding these legendary individuals. The first was your patrol, some of you at least, and her. I pray that, besides visions of the future, the similarities between your experiences and hers, and their...
Well, I'm not the one who remembers. I wish it was me holding on to that burden and not him.
Understanding Obash's disposition has been challenging. He understandably is reluctant to disclose details as he believes that doing so compromises everything that the future hinges on based on his words. And of course there's Nashira, allegedly the catalyst to this vision. It's unclear if she has some sort of greater significance to how everything had unfolded, or if it was just happenstance. One method among many for these dangerous visions to occur.
Have you talked with her since you've taken her into custody?
I prefer the term protective custody. We're not treating her like a criminal.
I know.
But, yes, extensively as a matter of fact.
Has she said anything of significance?
She's as eager to understand these premonitions as you are. Eager as she may be, she doesn't seem to have much in the way of answers. The only thing we have to go off of is her exposure to auric energy from the rings appeared to be the catalyst which unlocked these events. But Highshire has been blasted by the aura of those rings since. Granted, much of it was shielded by the pillar. I fear what would happen if we were to remove this protective influence of the pillar and expose Nashira to auric energy again. I fear the hole in the pillar may give us the answer whether we're looking for it or not.
It hasn't really changed in size of yet. I'm just worried about what might try to come in.
Speaking of which, quite the nasty discharge that I understand came from you? What happened down there exactly that caused that? Perhaps I was too hasty to leave.
It's a mess of... Somehow, the cartographer core had cosmic energy that I was unaware of at the time.
Cosmic. Well, considering that the core originated from the Startographers, I can't say I'm entirely surprised. But perhaps this is yet another feature of this thing that we previously didn't understand.
Are you... I am sorry. I didn't mean to keep so much from you, but know that my intentions were good. That our intentions were for the good of Highshire. You've seen what it's done.
Yes. In times like these, it's hard to trust anyone. Even someone like Rin.
I trusted Rin, but their image is all but shattered now thanks to her.
Right. On the topic of the Cartographer Corps, if I'm not mistaken, did you not inform the Inquisition about a bond formed between those who wield it, and what can come of that bond if someone were to perish?
She just nods her head.
I wonder if the events that had taken place with Hole in the Veil and Rin's death are connected in some way. And if so, how does Rin's disposition, as whatever they were, affect these odds we're at? All questions and no answers. As infuriating as ever.
It's not a half bad theory, though.
I'm an Inquisitor. Forming these theories based on observations is what I do for a living.
Is there anything else aside from the cloaks?
Yes. You may have noticed my handiwork that has been taking place over there in the center of the room. A teleportation circle. I'm currently trying to work on obtaining faster means of transportation outside the walls. Most of our horseback has been long claimed, put to work, and in many respects have been lost, but I may be able to reserve a few for some of our most important cartographers here. This will allow you to get to where you need to go in a fraction of the time. Though I pray you, at least one of you has some training with handling animals.
I had a pet rat once.
Oh my.
I know how to ride an animal. We'll be fine.
Well, okay, had is a strong word. I ate my pet rat.
You're not filling her with confidence.
I assure you,
honesty is the best policy. You feel me? I don't know. Speaking of which, you're not going to like a report for the fighting pit incident. Because there are still, even though we didn't have the Venerator, there are still a few unknowns that are sort of keeping me up, one might say. Namely, we failed to identify the one responsible for placing the teleportation runes around the Undercity rather. And I completely spaced probably due to blood loss. So yeah, I don't know who's doing it.
In any case, you did very well given the circumstances. You don't need to keep yourself up at night. In the grander scheme of things, that's evidently more minor.
Oh,
Your connection.
I did, however, uncover these, and he shows her the runes that he discovered. They're basically it's 3 little wooden planks with the rune in the middle. I didn't have any paper.
She would relieve you of your sketches and would look them over. This is very informative. Thank you very much, Lord Cobweb.
Oh, shucks.
Now, regarding the circle, I'm trusting that you'll be able to handle horseback out there to speed up your means to cover more ground. And as for the return trip, well, the circle will come into play. I have some scrolls for you. To which she would go to one of the glass cabinets and would produce 3 scrolls, which she would hand off to the party for whomever will be actually taking them.
Well, I'm the one with the bag of holding, so.
Gotcha. And she would go on to explain that these are 3 scrolls of teleportation circle.
Okay.
I imagine you can put 2 and 2 together. Things may get dire out there, and if you need an immediate extraction, this is the way to do it. Instant return to Highshire.
Well, this thing's gonna be a game changer.
Precisely. Given how fast everything had been moving in the beginning days of the cartographers, this was out of the question, but now that we've had more time to hone what we still have with the information that we still have, this will make your travels to and from much easier. Besides, passing out of our gates has become nothing short of an absolute war zone.
Any areas in particular, or?
A lot of them. I mean, we came in here the last time and it was all crumbling and being attacked by not but a mile from us on the wall, I think.
I mean, I realize that, but if there's a focus on one side of the wall more than the other, then.
Unfortunately, it appears to be hell all around.
Okay.
Although if you see crumbling walls, I strongly recommend keeping away. As brutish as these creatures are, they do hold a basic level of intelligence. Should they see a weakened part of the wall, they tend to prioritize what has already been destroyed, as to make their way for entry easier.
Well, suppose we'll need your people more than ever now, Dismas.
It would seem so, yes. Nonetheless, I wish to inquire on how I would go about garnering an audience with your chosen. I am aware they are currently preoccupied with the situation at hand, hence I held my tongue previously, as to not impose during your meeting. However, I believe some immediate actions would be prudent.
Your best bet is the person right in front of you.
Yes.
I eagerly await anything you have to say regarding your people. I only recently heard of the events that resulted in you meeting with our most esteemed cartographers. So, on account of Zula and all of Highshire, welcome to the surface.
Thank you. I am honored to be here. To introduce myself to you, I am Dismiss von Lord Conservator von Hawthorne Dirge of Morholm, Lieutenant of the Visigoth of Corhorn. I suppose I must act now in an official capacity, given the circumstances we find ourselves in. The chamber in which I was discovered is connected to Cologne. However, it would appear that the surge of energy that occurred this day not only allowed myself entry to the surface from that chamber, but collapsed it from the rest of Cologne. It is my suggestion and question for aid if that path can be cleared once more, so that I may inform the Clazarin of these newfound developments and the existence of Highshire.
An isolated variant of humanity separated by rubble. We've had unconfirmed reports in the early days of Highshire's inception of certain madness taking place, with people not unlike yourself vanishing without a trace. To think that a civilization could be just a stone's throw away, it raises questions on whether or not the trail ends there, or if there's more secrets to Highshire we have yet to realize. We have looked into something like this in times previous over the last many decades, but we never quite knew where to dig. Funny how the events taking place now, of all times, have brought your people back into our light. I do have one question. Even in your separation underground, when the star had fallen onto Helios, which I'm sure you've heard at least something of now occurred, Zula screamed in the heads of all people. Did your people experience a similar phenomenon?
We did, although we had no idea of what it was. It was quite the mystery. However, with all I have learned since returning to the surface, I understand now more of this omen.
Akoda would have her back turned to all of you as she would stare at the mural. How very interesting. Well, I wish we had a proper opportunity to arrange diplomacy, but Zula has a strange way of operating. I would argue that your encounter with our fated Team 26 was not coincidence. For your people to be re-exposed to the rest of remnant humanity now, it only emphasizes what Zula stands for. And since you're not informed, allow me to say firsthand, Zula came to be through the unity of all people under Highshire's banner. It's our belief that all people working as one was what gave birth to her light. And seeing that your people have also been reintegrated during times of extraordinary crisis, it only reinforces this ideology. Tell me, what sort of ideologies do your people stand for? Are there any higher powers that your priests tend to follow?
My people are not religious in the sense as yours. Rather, our practices are more centered on ancestral lines, familial bonds, and the like.
Well, the burden that we face is one that affects all people. And as you take your steps into the light, you will too understand that we are all among the same individuals fighting for a brighter tomorrow. Or else, there won't be a tomorrow to begin with. As someone who is going through quite the bout of culture shock, especially hearing everything that you have in the past few hours, I don't expect you to be concluded in your mind, but should you take up arms among these fine individuals here to move forward and gain answers, would you answer this call? Would you fight alongside them? Along us?
Of course, it is not even a question. I have sworn long ago to act as the shield of humanity, to be their sword that strikes their enemies. Such is my purpose in this life. And this protection, of course, extends to the people of Highshire.
That is very warming to hear. You are just as equal among us as anyone else. There is an old recording of a quote from Zula herself when she spoke to our chosen in the early days. She said then that it is foretold an awakening will reshape this earth in the image of all people, and only through the awakening of all people, as one people, will they forge this world anew for them alone. And I see clearer than ever that you are just as among Highshire as anyone else. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'll give a nod at that.
I will make the arrangements with the rest of the command line of the Inquisition to work further into the dig site and see if we can open a proper gate between your people and ours. I feel like there is much we can learn from one another. As for meeting with the Chosen, well, you had just met before them, and although the manner of business that 26 was attending to them was very different, I have good faith that in due time we can make proper arrangements with them to integrate you and accommodate you however you need.
I see. The purpose in which I wished to speak with them was, as you said, and are already making motions to accomplish, was creating that gate between our peoples. Keep in mind, Inquisitor, I am no diplomat, simply an old soldier. If any talks were to occur, the Klazarin will be the ones making the decisions on behalf of the people of Cologne.
I understand. If there are any immediate materialistic requests that you have, you can make them with us. Come morning, I am hoping that all of you would be in the right condition to set out and continue your journey towards these Startographers.
One other thing, Inquisitor.
Of course.
I know the Chosen had agreed on having Elijah have a place within the Pillar of Commandments, but I feel I have a better place for him. With the Inquisition's permission, I'd like to take him to the Silverhide Estate.
You may house him however you best see fit. As far as I'm concerned, you're more of Elijah's guardian than anyone else. The decision is yours to make.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Dagny.
Just kind of is just looking down and kind of biting her lip like anxiously.
Right. Is there anything else we have to do today?
I feel like you've done enough already. Night is falling, and I imagine all of you will need to get some well-earned rest. I had hoped that at least today would have been a day of rest in of itself, but as you can see, there is simply no rest for the wicked.
No.
Hmm.
Is there a place we could sleep here, or do we have to find accommodations ourselves?
We have housing within these halls. You will be well taken care of. I promise you that.
Okay. Then if we have no further business, I believe we will go and take our rest.
She gives you a nod.
As long as we're here, apparently, and stop me if this sounds crazy, but cartographers are supposed to be paid, and my armor is falling apart. Yeah, I might need just a little handout for materials.
We're not going to send you off into no man's land in tatters. So do stop by the Great Forge within our halls, and we can repair any damage done to your armor, as well as perhaps reinforce it from future turmoil.
Huh. Well, that's proper sorted. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay.
And Akoda would turn her back to all of you, looking off at the mural one more time. And everyone kind of gets the inkling it's time to leave before Akoda would ask out one final question. Cartographers,
Yes?
Hmm.
let's assume you are fated to meet another startographer. Perhaps many. Let's assume that these memories of the future resurface once again. If you're burdened with the knowledge of how this world will unfold, at the end of all of it, where do your hearts ultimately lay?
Do you ask of loyalties or intentions? That's a deep question.
She's silent for a moment. Loyalties and intentions go hand in hand, Garrock.
Well, I suppose, I intend... Oh. You mean after all this is over, right?
She's silent and would eventually speak up again. If you need to make a decision that decides the fate of this world, where would your loyalties ultimately lay? To what force on this earth do you hold the highest regard for? Would you follow the tenets that humanity has followed all this time? Would you look to the light of Zula? Or would you chance it all on the whim of a startographer? Or perhaps would you answer to something else entirely?
Would you like to know my answer?
Of course I would. Matters greatly.
My decisions ultimately lie in one result. Me being able to retire peacefully into a forge, work with metal in my old age, and peacefully pass away in a home that either I constructed or was rewarded with in life. Whatever decisions lead me to that will be the decisions I make.
Akoda would be silent, taking in your words, still her back turned towards all of you, looking up at the mural, waiting for words from anyone else.
I'm not sure. I suppose it would boil down to what I believe is right, but from what I can gather, the future is this great unknown, this great uncertainty that we just have to throw ourselves into not by our own volition, but by the course of time. And suppose just having these supposed memories of the future, whether they are truly memory or a vision or a possibility, we can't say for certain, but suppose for a lack of a bit of, I would ultimately choose what is right for Highshire, for humanity, to ensure our survival.
Akoda would take in your words, her hair almost gently fluttering in a seemingly non-existent breeze, with an air of expectation for anyone else to speak up.
I can't really tell you what I'm going to do in the future, because I'm not that guy yet. But I will say that right now, at this very moment, I'm prepared to act in Highshire's favor in all circumstances. And not only that, but I will face anything that gets in my way head on without a scar on my back. And you can take that to the bank.
Ishanti would speak up. This one fights for those I care about. Those among Highshire. My friends and family and life has been lived inside these walls, and I don't know much about this startographer business, but this one wants a future for those that matter. And Dismiss, are you going to respond, or are you going to remain silent from her inquiry?
Oh, is this also directed at me? I thought it was... Because I ain't a fucking cartographer. I'm part of the organization.
There is a heavy air of expectation here, and you can feel like she is hanging on your word, despite her being still and turning her back towards you. You can speak if you deem that you need to. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Didn't want to speak at a turn. But, would eventually speak up. I wish to secure a future for all of humanity. To ensure that those who have fought and died did not in vain. All the sacrifices made by the hands of men, I wish to see serve the purpose for which they were intended. After all, our struggle of all our peoples, of all of humanity, has to mean something. Otherwise, What was it all for?
Akoda would eventually turn around and face everyone once more. To each of you, I appreciate your honesty. These are important questions to ask ourselves. More than we ever bargained for, but here we are. If that is all, then you may rest here or wherever you see best fit. Come for sight in the morning. We can accommodate you for the road ahead. And from there, you may travel the world however you best see fit.
Thank you, Inquisitor.
She gives a bit of a nod and she would produce the tools that she had previously been working with and would continue her solitary work on this imbued teleportation circle, making final preparations for continued use in the future.
I'll go ahead and sort of turn around, kind of turn Elijah around and kind of lead him towards the door, just kind of pushing lightly on his back.
You could see Elijah has been straightening up his back and squaring up his shoulders as best he can, is almost sucked in his lips to not say a single word this entire time because he's very clearly feeling out of place here. And he just gives a few very quick and shallow nods and he would be off with a tap of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I presume everyone else is going to be heading out of the room?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And with this encounter with Akoda coming to a conclusion, having your new cloaks and your scrolls to head back here at a moment's notice, you would head back off into the halls of the Inquisition.
I have a question. Did they give me one too?
They did.
Fucking why? I just walked in and they're giving me shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Right, well, I definitely need some rest. Try and make our way
Yeah,
towards
I
the
got some
barracks.
shopping to do.
It's getting dark right now. It should wait until morning.
Oh, well, you don't buy blood during the daytime. Duh. And it don't matter, because there's no light in the Undercity anyway.
Are you going to be okay?
Huh? Me? Wait. That was a joke. You're joking. Oh. You guys, I love you guys. Alright, I'll see you guys later. and he's gonna walk away.
And Cobweb I'm assuming you're putting on that cloak.
Yeah.
It's a bit big for you, so you kind of have to wrap it around your waist a little bit, and the hood like drapes well over your shoulders, so you look like this bundled towel that's scampering off. But off you would go, as I presume you're leaving out of the Hall of the Inquisition and into the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Away he would go. And Vishanti would give a bit of a stretch. Oh, this one is so much rattling around in their head. They feel so icky. I hope they have showers here.
Well, only one way to find out. I'll start looking for, like, where the sleeping quarters are and whether there's, like, I suppose it's a bathing facility?
You see Vishanti kind of is tugging on various people's shoulders, asking for directions before there would be a nobleman that would be able to point you down and around the hall that leads to a corridor you have yet to explore that seems to have some housing areas for those who are admitted here.
Yep.
And Vishanti, getting the confirmation he needs, runs off at full speed as within a dash, almost knocking down a old lady that's carrying a large stack of papers. And she grabs it and almost trips over herself. Vishanti doesn't care. He is off.
Where these reckless attitudes are going to get them killed someday.
Oh, I have
Well,
one of those. I'm still breathing.
Apparently, the reserved attitude a few of us had before still got them killed, so I mean, what's to say that their strategy won't work better?
Suppose it's a good point. Let's get moving. I definitely need a bath after today. After all that dirt being in the Undershire.
What, you don't like caves that are poorly managed?
Well, I mean, it's not my business how well managed they are. What matters is how I'm treated while I'm there. And, suppose for all intents and purposes, I was at least had a facility, but when I don't have any knowledge of what's going on, it tends to bring out the child in me, I suppose.
Wait, how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 20.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not a kid.
I just kind of push him towards the back of his head. Come on.
Wait, what do you
definitely
mean,
need to
come
get
on?
washed off.
No. I was not part of this whole agreement thing. How about you can go
Well, while
and
you're here, you're still getting a bath, and especially need to make you presentable for when I take you to the estate tomorrow.
What's wrong with this? As he gestures towards his stained clothing.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It just needs to be
Then
cleaned
it's
up.
fine.
I will use prestidigitation to try and get as much of the dirt off of him as I can.
You give him a thorough couple wipes before he goes, stop it! You know, if you walk around in the Undershire areas and you're all pristine, you know what they do? They beat you up and they take your stuff.
Understandably, but you're not in the Undershire anymore. You're in Highshire.
Who's to say that we might not go back down there? You know, there's the whole, rune stuff that might come into play. I don't really know what's going on, but
Then if that comes to it, you can soil yourself up with what I taught you as much as you want.
You can take the boy out of the Undershire, but you can't take the Undershire out of the boy. I'm just telling you now.
Well,
This kid is a fucking legend.
have fun babysitting two people. I'll see you tomorrow. And then Garrock walks off.
Wait, where are you going?
Wait, what did he mean by that? You sit on babies?
Rock.
Yes. Just as he's about to turn the corner.
Where are you going?
Home. What does it look like?
Hey,
You really think, with all you know about me now, that I want to stay in here?
well, can you at least look at the cartographer core while you're at home?
That is the reason I'm going there.
Be careful, please.
Well, I don't think it'll have a second thing like that happen. But yes,
You know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
What does he mean?
Don't worry about it, Elisha. Go on.
Ugh. No one tells me anything.
I just gotta grab Elijah by his collar. It's like, come on, let's go.
Ow. It's because I'm small, isn't it?
I'm using it to my advantage. Dismiss,
Yeah,
are you
you
coming?
are. It's the problem. Oh.
Right behind you, Madam Silverhide.
Come on, he's the new guy. Why aren't you tugging on his ass? Could you stop?
Because I don't know him well enough yet, and I plan on fixing that momentarily.
What, are you going to force him to take a bath too? He doesn't even breathe!
Which I'm sure is the nature of his lineage.
If I stop breathing, do I get... Ah, never mind.
Come on, let's go.
And
I'm going to make sure Elijah gets bathed.
with a series of exacerbated complaints, Elijah would reluctantly follow you over to the living quarters of the halls.
Yep.
And Garrock, I presume you're, without further hesitation, making your way out to head back home.
Check it.
Ooh, yes, hello.
Yeah. All right, yeah. As you would head off. And Dismas, Dagny, and Elijah would make their way towards the living quarters of the Hall of the Inquisition, where you would quickly find a series of living accommodations, which includes a number of these very ornate and well privatized showers and various bathrooms, places to essentially unwind, living quarters, plenty of reading material, as well as a very long hall of different offshoots into a series of rooms. It's very akin to a tavern, but it's just on a scale that no other tavern could really reach, as there's a large common area with a very large hearth that has a circular common area where there's a number of people of all manners of business, many of which are nobles, a few inquisitors, people here doing clerical work, many walks of life. You even spot those who have battle-scarred armor that do have the likeness of a cartographer team in tow. And as evidenced by the seal of the cartographer along their shoulders, it's all but clear that there are few that make it here and get treated in this way for all that they do. And I presume throughout the preceding time into this evening, you would all get clean and
Yes.
would see to it that you relax, unwind, and grab some of the good food that's in those common areas. You can
Yeah.
see that the food is served in something of an open kitchen, and they do not charge. If you're there to be accommodated, you are there to be accommodated.
Yes.
You could see that you would spot after a while there is Vishanti, who has this damp fur that is all ruffled up that he hastily cleaned himself off with, and there is a big plate of meatballs that he is chomping away at. He's having a good time.
He's
Thought he would've
relapsing.
learned yeah, I would have thought he
Smells like
learned the
wet
last
cat in
time.
here.
Yeah. And for brevity's sake, that I'll say, Dagny, you make sure that Elijah marches off into one of those stalls to get clean. You would wait for him. He comes out, and he did a very half-assed job. You can tell he didn't even use soap.
Yeah, no, I would personally go in there myself and make sure he's using soap.
He's like, all right, don't come in here. Weirdo, stop. Fine.
That's
Okay.
that's the only. Get in there, wash everywhere, behind your ears too.
Rin never made me clean myself, just saying.
Well, Rin's not here right now.
I
That's why I'm in charge of you now.
Fine.
I made a promise, and I intend to keep it.
All right. Fine. And
Nasty sewer child.
Elijah, perturbed, would actually get clean this time. He takes quite a bit of time, as you can tell he is hating every second of it, but would eventually come out in a much more presentable manner. The grease and various grime out of his hair, and he looks almost like a completely different kid.
There, see? I know you say you can't take the Undershire out of the boy, but you can certainly clean him up. Make it seem like he didn't, as I'm drying his hair.
You know, I had 3 kobold friends that liked to roll around a lot in the dirt. It was actually kind of a fun game, where they would get as covered in dirt and mud as they possibly can, and they'd slam into a wall, and whoever would make a splatter that most resembles themselves would be the winner.
Well,
was really
but
cool.
kobolds are used to living underground, as well as digging networks of tunnels, so they're used to the dirt.
Oh, so I don't get to do that because I'm not a kobold.
Unfortunately, no.
Well, I'm gonna do it anyways.
That doesn't mean that if you do it that way, you're going to be taking baths every night. I know you don't like things the way they are right now, but I'm trying to do the best that I can. I want you to at least stay safe and out of harm's way right now.
Yeah, I know. I just, like being covered in dirt and being down there and all that. Like, I got to do what I wanted, At least most of the time. Like, that's how I felt safe.
I know.
Like it was a lot of the same way when we were out there, me and Rin. We would yeah, I got handy with like making stuff and tinkering stuff and going through locks. Like that was all him,
Yeah, they were a good teacher.
Yeah. They were really like practical, like good with their hands,
Mhm.
Alright, I
They
feel like
were.
just it's cool here, sure. Like, nothing's trying to stab me. That's pretty good, I guess. Just yeah, it's like a different life. Everyone seems to think that everything's so bad out there. But everyone's just like, I don't know. Everyone's wearing all these nice clothes and taking like baths and stuff and eating all this food. It's like they're pretending that the world isn't ending.
For those who are able to afford it, they would have sequestered themselves in such a way that they feel they aren't in any danger.
Right. So they're gonna eat a big plate of meatballs themselves and not give it to the people that had their home stepped on.
I can see the disparity there.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I mean, I suppose I should consider myself lucky. The Silverhides have been around for generations. We're definitely not the same as we were before.
Is your family nice? Do they have shiny stuff?
Do.
Huh.
And they are. Definitely think my brothers would probably like you. Dennis, definitely.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all you had to say.
However, I do need to present you to my stepmother, since, my father's somewhat indisposed.
What does that mean?
Well, as far as I remember, my father was imprisoned. For what reason, I don't know.
Oh. He seems pretty cool.
If I knew what he did, it all depends.
And
Oh,
during
come
this
on, let's
time,
let's go ahead and get something in your belly.
all right, now we're talking. As you two would head off, Dismas, what are you doing in a fine establishment such as this?
I don't imagine I needed to use their cleaning facilities. Because I wasn't really doing much this day. Only a bit of dust and rubble on my cloak that I could just rubbed off.
Right, didn't take much to get you back into presentable fashion.
Yeah. Plus the food here would be wasted on me. I believe while they're off in the showers, I would just be hanging out in this common room they have here. I believe you said there were books.
There is a number of books across a variety of shelves, the likes of which are completely new to your eyes because they are very ornate, and they have styles that deviate pretty heavily from what you're used to within your own people. Is definitely a marriage of a variety of cultures that go into these texts.
I suppose I would pick one up at random, find a free armchair someplace if they have it, and flip through that and people watch until they're back, I suppose.
Okay. You would make your way into the common area where all of the people seem to be enjoying their meals and doing what they can to forget about the troubled times. as you would head down, and there would be the formation of a bit of a band. Looks like a series of bards off into a corner. They have some funny clothing and instruments that you also are completely unfamiliar with, as it looks like they are gathering up to play a tune of their own. And scour through those books you would. Roll a D100. Let's see what you got. Huh. You would go through a number of tomes, a lot of which don't really have a dialect you understand. You imagine this is probably the trade-off through a lot of different cultures, having a variety of books from all different manners of origin. And you would notice that there is almost a little offshoot. You can see that there's a bag that's actually discarded off towards the side of the bookshelf, like someone forgot their things there. And you would see there's actually a couple of books that are poking out of it, which you think is curious. It would naturally get your curiosity. It's a bit out of the ordinary. And you would sift through them, and a lot of these are much of the same, but there's one in particular that's written in common that you can read, and it's this big black looking tome, and the title is scratched into the title where it originally had something else. It looks like at one point this was a children's book, but there's this scratchy black lettering that would read its current title, Let Me Out.
Ooh.
And upon physical contact with touching this book, you almost feel like the book shudders.
Okay, what the fuck? I just
Yeah.
wanted to flip through a fucking magazine, man.
This is weird. You kind of get a feeling like this ordinarily wouldn't be here. You don't know whose bag this is. It's this dark satchel.
Okay.
You could go for a different one, or you could investigate this.
Well, yeah. I'll go ahead and gather up the bag with this book. And after I do so, can I glance around to see... Obviously, I'm looking for somebody who works and tends to this place, and not somebody who's just staying here.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some Shire guardsmen who are operating a variety of different things. They appear to be mostly on guard duty, as it were, but there's a man of similarly dressed, looks like staff, that are working the bar and doing various tasks around here, housekeeping sort of thing, that have the white and blue and gold color scheme that would identify them as people who manage the place.
Yeah, I'll go find somebody who seems free.
Okay. You would find a middle-aged man that is currently cleaning up some plates, and you would get his attention.
Pardon me, sir. I believe I have found somebody's lost belongings, as well as this disconcerting book amongst their things. And I'll just kind of display this creepy, cursed fucking book and continue. I am unsure if this is safe for handling.
You would see there's an immediate look of concern that washes over this man's face, and he quickly waves over some Shire guardsmen to take the bag, as well as shuffle that book into the bag and seal it off, being careful not to touch it. Thank you for telling me. That's... We're gonna have to do a little bit more sweeping around this place. Do me a favor, if you see anyone that's giving you a funny look, just let us know, alright?
Of course. Oh, seeing that we're finished up here, I'll head back and go grab a non-cursed evil book and
Okay.
go back to the initial plan. What the
Roll,
fuck?
roll another D100. All right. Let's try this again. You'd pick up a small, unsuspecting book from the shelf, hoping for nothing of an eldritch complexion. You find one of the most unsuspecting, innocent-looking books, and you find something of a child's book, or perhaps a tall tale, maybe something fictional, something placed here for entertainment purposes, you suspect. And the title reads, Diary of a Thief. That depicts a teenage thief that's on the title running off with a sack of gold while there is a angry mob off on the hilltop that seems to be on his approach, and he has this mischievous look on his face.
Yeah, this looks fun. I'll pop this open, go to people watching, keeping in mind what that man told me for anybody giving me weird looks.
Roll perception.
Okay.
You would get many pages in, and you are mildly entertained at the japes of this diary, as written in the diary-type fashion from this mischievous, aspiring rogue who is stealing from the rich and powerful and giving to the more needier people of a long-distant kingdom.
Ah, yes, dollar store Robin Hood.
They describe of a particular landscape that this town seems to be poised in. It's a long series of almost luminescent forests, and these people seem to live in these houses that are integrated into these giant trees that sprawl upwards. These canopies are the better part of a mile straight up, and in his free time, this character would seemingly gaze into the leaves that would have this shimmering effect to them. Seems to be his favorite thing to do after a successful jape. And of course, in the time keeping one eye open and scanning among the crowd, you wouldn't spot anybody that raises concern. Granted, this is an unfamiliar land to you, so you're not really sure what the norm is. Nobody appears to be giving you any stink eye.
Okay.
All right. And it would be about that time that you would see Dagny and Elijah emerging out of the shower area, with Vajanti not too far behind. And with that, I'd like to take a 15-minute break because I got dinner waiting for me.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I know for fucking a fact, if I opened that book, the fucking grudge was gonna crawl out.
Some was.
Yeah. Come on, make a grand entrance of yourself. Anyways, yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Bro, he would open that bitch up and be like, oh, bro, this Bible is hitting different. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.
for you, Iggy Diggy Bar.
Hmm.
I also think it's really funny that literally 2 people got kidnapped, 1 person died, and everyone's like, yeah, let's split the party again.
Yeah, like,
Nothing can go wrong. tat. If only B-Man didn't have a bladder the size of a golf ball.
To
The B stands for Balenciaga. Tell me, Mr. Jacket, what is the difference between H&M and Balenciaga?
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Do I look like I know what a JPEG is?
Yes.
Alright, I'm here. I just need 30 seconds here. Pressing
Yeet.
something.
yes.
You see, I rolled a 66, but I really got was a 666. That fucking book.
Yeah.
The kids love the devil.
How's that culture shock coming along?
Well, if it wasn't here now, it certainly is after that one.
You know that song from that Disney movie there? Savages, savages, barely even human.
You mean Pocahontas?
Yeah.
Alright. Do we have our friendly little goblin boy here?
Yeah, what's up?
Nice. Alright. Sure. One
Life
more
has
thing
many
and then
doors, Scott boy.
Did I just add? Okay. One. Come on, you bastard. 8,000.
Remember, you gotta always be thankful that you haven't run into difficult Pete yet.
Alright.
This fucking tavern music is that fucking song.
Somebody I used to know, yeah.
Yeah.
If you pay close attention to some of the songs, you'll recognize a lot of it.
No,
You
yeah,
never
I've been
heard
hearing them.
Bob
I just
Cole
didn't say
before?
anything.
Bob Cole's where it's at, my dude.
Hell
Just wait
yeah,
until,
man.
Just wait until Pumped Up Kicks plays.
Hmm.
Oh.
Or I'll loot.
Alright. So, picking things back up, Cobweb, off you scurried, adorned in your cloak of passing glances, as you would head out of the Hall of the Inquisition, back into the greater world beyond. As things would quickly descend into full darkness, as the last dwindlings of lights would pass you by, as torches are lit and the streets are overbearing with shadow. And I assume you are going to be scurrying straight off into the nearest recess to get underground.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Roll perception as you're on your way.
Cha.
Gets jumped immediately.
Swear to God.
Oh boy.
See?
I'm gonna get jumped and turned into somebody you used to know.
You're making your way quickly as you're going through some unfamiliar offshoots of the Inner Highshire Kingdom. You feel a bit more confident scurrying off on your own now, knowing that you have a bit of protection from prying eyes, as it almost seems like you are of no interest to anyone, as the greater crowds are focused on their own conflicts within the night. It seems as though the state of the world offers no one any rest in this part of the kingdom. You take an offshoot, and one curious thing that would get your attention, as it would stifle your senses, as you would pass by a small estate that seems to have a plot of land all unto itself as you scurry by the gate. And you would notice atop a small hill on this property is a noble's home. And this entire small yard that they have has these very tall standing apple trees that have these delicious looking apples that are just drooping over the gate. Perhaps if you were a
Oh.
bit taller, you would be able to snatch one for yourself. You would notice, given your good perception check though, going by, that the main gate to this house does seem to have a very apparent magical ward that is protecting it from unauthorized entry. But seeing as these trees are drooping over said gates, if perhaps you were a bit taller or had a way to jump up, you could probably take one for yourself.
Okay, so here's where Cobweb gets just a little bit sad. He's gonna look up at the apple. He's gonna look down at his short little stubby goblin body, and then he's going to realize that his body can only handle using the mountain rune so many times a day, and if he uses it again for an apple, it's going to hurt him. So he's sort of just kicking at the dirt, looking up like, oh.
They did it to cut you off.
Oh. Is there anybody? Who's the tallest person in my nearby vicinity, in my line of sight?
You would look around and see that there looks to be a full-blooded orc who is doing business with a passing caravan, as it looks like exchanging of goods is being done. He seems to be handing them a supply of food, and exchange, it looks like he's getting some raw materials to be worked. Some unprocessed metal and some leather straps.
Cobweb's going to plod over. He's going to reach into his coin purse, and he's going to produce 5 gold coins. Hey, you, big guy. You with the face. And he's going to point.
Oh. Hello, little one. What can I do?
Yeah, don't call me that. Anyway,
What?
yeah, you see that over there? And he's going to point up at the apple. I'll give you 2 gold pieces if you put me on your shoulders, and 3 after the job's done.
What are you thinking?
Well, I thought I'd just sort of climb up you like a tree or something, and just grab it. I'm usually like 8 feet tall, but this is a really off day for me.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's Mr. Mason's estate. He knows
Yeah.
his way around a trick or two.
But yeah, do you see that? And he points to the limb hanging over. Yeah, that's not the whoever's estate. So, and that means that apple is mine. So if you want to take my money, I'll make it worth your while. I'll give you an apple too. How about that? 2 apples.
Roll persuasion.
Gotcha.
Wow.
You'd see him nod eventually and looks at the gold. Look, this is, these are hard times, you know? I don't do this much anymore, but it's apples, right? He's got plenty of them. Alright, come here.
Stand over here. Wait, oh, no, that's my foot. Wait.
Sorry, I don't. Here, just get, climb up this, here.
And he's like grabbing at his hair and shit.
Yeah, your cloak's a little too big for you there.
I know. It's not that big anyway.
Alright, well, alright.
And he's gonna try to reach up and grab one of the apples.
Alright, he would saunter on over towards the gates where those trees are hanging over for you to take. And you would arrive at these apples, and there's a good 3 or 4 of them actually that are within an arm's reach.
I'll just take 2. I only need 2.
Okay. You would apply one hand to one apple, another hand to another, would give it a bit of a tug, and there would be a gentle snap of a branch as these apples are separated from the tree. And you see over your shoulder there's a yellowish flash that comes from that ward, as you would see a trail of magic energy coalesce within the grass, travel up the tree, up to the severed branch, and there'd be a bit of a puff as it comes out of the severed twig that once held those 2 apples. And a horrendous screech noise is produced from both of those twigs from where the apples were, as you are almost deafened by this loud, awful, animalistic screeching that this tree is now producing. Oh, what is that?
Scatter!
Gone. Oh.
He's gonna jump off and run away.
As you head.
But he's
far
gonna drop
down.
one. He's gonna drop one of the apples as he goes. Thanks, goodbye.
Get out of here!
And off he goes.
And off you go.
As the twigs shoot disintegration rays after you.
You would zig and then zag, and you feel like if anybody did see you that, well, you're far away enough now, and your cloak is definitely going to help with that. Probably. And you would go off. And I presume you're heading underground.
Mm-hmm.
It would take you the better part of an hour, as you would have to get beyond the inner High Shire territories, as there's seemingly no easy way to get underground from within the more decorated parts of the kingdom. Likely because they don't want anything to do with the underground with this particular part of the kingdom. So you would get through customs to go to the outer territories, where after about an hour's time, you manage to find an offshoot, and you would go quickly underground.
How do you sleep at night, you monster?
With my belly full of apple.
All right. I presume you are heading home.
Mm-hmm.
One more perception roll as you're zigging and zagging through the various caveways. With the assistance of your cloak, you would make haste as you quickly find your way to familiar territory. And this cloak definitely seems to be doing the trick, as the denizens of the caveways don't really pay much of the suspicious eye mind that they typically would to anyone that they go past. There's maybe a quick flick of their eyes and they would continue off with what they're doing. This is certainly working wonders.
Do I pass by any particularly large, people of giant descent, like, ogres and whatnot?
You would hear there is the belly laughs of 2 ogres that are not too far from where you currently are, so they're definitely around. If you make a slight detour, you can definitely pass by a couple of them.
Alrighty. Yeah, he's going to do that because he's going to offer to buy their blood. 'Cause,
Okay.
yeah. They've got a lot. They got plenty to spare, you know.
You would round a corner and you would find a big open cave, much like the one you're seeing in the scene card here. It has some dwarven architecture supporting the larger open airspace, where there's something of an open bonfire that you can see there are 2 orcs as well as 2 ogres that are accompanying them, and they seem to be telling stories of various crude violence.
Any gang paraphernalia?
You would glance over them, and it doesn't appear like they have any direct affiliations. If they do, they're clearly going out of their way to hide it, but these guys just seem to be blowing off some steam. You can see they have almost entire tree trunks that are arranged into a half-assed pile, and there's a almost industrial strength spit that is roasting an entire pig as one of the ogres is reaching off from where he's seated and is just giving this thing a crank as they're periodically watching over it, and you would smell the almost charred bits of increasingly cooked pig meat. It definitely looks like a good time.
There's the sound of little goblin sandals, as he sort of walks up, and tugs on one of their shirts. Hey, down here.
What you want?
Well, you see, I've got a problem, right? I've got all of this gold, and this jug right here is not full of blood. So, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but I'm offering to buy your blood. Just a little. It won't even be a prick. You're a big guy. You can take it.
You would get.
And look, I'll give you 20 gold right fucking now. Right? How about that? Huh?
You would get a look at this guy, and he is definitely a more gruff-looking individual. And his eyes would fall onto the gold coins that you have in your hands. And the way the light is catching your gold is seemingly just right. As you see that light reflected in his eyes, and he goes, I spill blood all day. You don't hurt me none. How you want to do this? Just want to nibble?
A nibble? No, dude, I got a knife. That's fucking gross.
Yeah. Have it your way.
Yeah, alright. Well, come here. And he's gonna take his finger and sort of, I imagine his finger is like the size of 3 of cobwebs. So he just sort of, pokes at it.
An overbearing fist that's bigger than you would come in and he goes, alright! Gold first!
Gold first? Oh, okay, how about this? 10 up front, and you get the rest when I get the blood. Alright, how about that? Come on, I get what I get, you get what you get, come on. And even if I do fuck you, you're still 10 gold up.
Hey, Pill, what do you think? Is this guy full of it? Make a good appetizer.
He's speaking in giant, by the way. Giant. Speak.
That's over there. You just see the other one just kind of scratch its head. I already ate today. And he gives a bit of a huff. The hot air would wash over you, and it's a very foul smell.
Oh,
Listen.
Jesus, dude, lay off the sauce. God.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah, okay. Just give me your... God, let me get out of your hair, then.
Fine. And he
And
would
he's gonna start filling the jug.
Yeah. He would accept your 10 gold, and he would offer a finger, which you would give a slice, and he goes off recalling whatever he was talking about as he is talking about the olden days on when they would whack things 10 times their size and feast like kings. You're not sure how much truth there is to it, but they are big guys. And before long, you got yourself a full vial.
Let's go.
He continues
He's gonna cork up the jug. He's gonna probably head home at that point.
Yeah. He would continue to bleed, but it seems like he almost forgot that you were even there as he's getting involved in his story, giving you easy leave. And off you would go.
I didn't give him the extra 10 gold.
It's up to you to be a man of your word.
Oh no, fuck that. I'm out of here. Yeah.
Off you would go. Round the corner and continue on your way. And might I ask, where is your ultimate destination for the evening?
Probably his hole, cause that's where his tools are and everything. You know.
Mm-hmm. It would be an additional 15 minutes of zigging and zagging, with the advantage of the cloak not giving you any sort of unwanted attention. Before long, you would arrive at a very familiar crag where you slip behind a series of tall rocks, and never have you been so glad to see a hole in the ground. Your little hovel lay before you.
Yeah, it's so you guys know how I have one Etnir. The other one is nailed to the door frame on the very top. And it's to signify that he has the protection of the permission to live here from the local crime syndicate and whatnot. And so there's no door. It's just what is it called? Curtains, you know.
Hmm.
As he enters, and there's sort of a sort of ramshackle living arrangement seated right next to his quote-unquote workshop, which is basically it's a clay furnace and a big iron block for an anvil, basically, and little teeny tiny little tools, each one inscribed with a different rune.
You'd arrive back, and miraculously, even in trying times such as this, it appears as if your little slice of home here has gone completely untouched. As
Let's go, I wasn't robbed.
Yeah, it's almost as if you never even left.
Oh, I can't do anything. He's gonna set the jug down. Can't do anything with this without Garrock. And he's going to rest for the remainder of the night, probably.
You would saunter on down into your little bedding area. To call it a bed is a bit generous. It's more like a somewhat organized arrangement of things that are vaguely soft. And settle down you would. And with you laying down, you would drift off almost immediately, missing the comfort of this little place you've come to call home so dearly. And with that, you're out like a light. Switching gears over to someone who has spent a similar sum of time hitching a ride onto a carriage to go across High Shire's landscape. Garrock, you would arrive at a similarly homely sight as you roll up to the Ale and Hammer Townhouse, as it is publicly known, as the warm glow of several lit torches from within are greeting you. Hopefully this time you'll have a full night's rest without a rude awakening, you think?
Just before he even steps in, he just looks around himself, just like, alright, do any more thieves, people smugglers, inquisitors, or anything else want to disturb my nap today?
Roll perception.
No. Just keeps happening every time.
Yeah, you just can't.
He's
seem
just
to
at
catch a
this
break.
point just gonna check in advance.
And in this time heading back, did you summon your big guy with you?
I mean, would have liked him to come back at some point. I think I asked one of the Inquisitors at some point if they could go and like bring him somewhere, either like to the Inquisition Hall or.
It was stationed nearby, so they said. It's up to you if you want to
Oh
summon
yeah,
it.
I mean, having somebody freeze for me stand outside that can just do that is good.
Okay, so you're summoning it then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, you would see that once again, your large iron friend is closing the distance. You can't help but get a nagging in the back of your mind that even now, after mistaking it the first time, even for a split second, you briefly mistake it for the profile of the Venerator, and it just kind of goes down your back with a bit of a chill before tempering your own anxiety. You're home, and that's what matters.
Hmm. I know they wouldn't let me have it in a million years, but God, I wish I could put the Venerator's armor on you, my friend. Oh well. Same as last night. Stand guard if any Inquisitors or people like that come to the door, let them through. Everyone else, aside from people who belong in this house. And, yeah. With that, I'll walk in and see if anyone is around.
You would walk in with your loud footsteps echoing in the ever familiar way as you are heading inside. It looks like everything is very neatly tucked away and shut down for the evening, which is a bit early for Aelmon. But thinking nothing of it, you continue inside. And there is something of a note that is very close to the door as you head inside. And it is from Aelmon, addressed to Tyrell, as well as yourself in a bit after the facts note. And in summary, it looks like Aelmon has headed off to a particular area near the crumbling walls, a encampment that has been set up, headed by the Shire Guard. It looks like they have enlisted his help to work with the materials they have over there to heal the injured. It seems like he is doing his part to help the wall efforts.
Hmm. Hmm.
And taking a look around, you would look over to a little side chair, and you know this is Tyrell's favorite. And you would round the corner to inspect it, and of course, slumped over, fast asleep, is Tyrell. The gentle snoring. He always was a heavy sleeper, and it looks like your loud presence really didn't shake him.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab a blanket and put it over him.
You do so. There's a favorite quilt of his that's nearby they usually keep downstairs, and you would unfold it and toss it over him. And even though he's asleep, you see him slide into his chair just a little more as you see some comfort come across his face. Seems even asleep, he is able to feel that favorite quilt of his.
With that, Garrock will make himself some food and then go down into the basement and, well, first of all, I'm gonna need to make a little bit of a box. Um, so I imagine the initial explosion of that cosmic energy has probably taken out a lot of the stuff, considering it's kind of exploded twice now. But I don't want a big old hole in my home.
Yeah, it definitely knocks some stuff around in your forge. Given that this is underground and backed by stone, it didn't do any real damage to anything, but it definitely sits with you. That could have been worse.
Hmm. Well, I'm gonna make because I have the Bewlet plates, I'm gonna make a bit of a box that can fit the cartographer core in it, so when I summon it in my hand, it'll at least be over it. It's a
Okay.
little bit of a temporary explosive box.
Easily done. You take some of the materials you have laying around, and easily enough, you forge it into something of a bomb box. Are you doing this inside of your forge?
I'm gonna do it out the back, per se.
All right. You would be careful to have this ready, and you would go out the back of the townhouse as it's ready to go.
Please don't explode. Right. Well, do I have anything that can help me? Not particularly in this particular situation, but here's hoping that that box does a good enough job. Yeah, so in that case, I'll place the box over my arm and basically summon up the cartographer core within it.
You summon the cartographer core with a of bright whites. The core would appear. There is a very faint white fizzle along the emitter that suggests that there is even the faintest remnant of cosmic energy still permeating off of it. But it's in good condition this time and looks much like its old non-explosive bound self.
Right, I can take that back inside then. Well, now I can actually look at it freely again. Does it actually still hold any of that damage?
You would take a look at all the strain that had been done when you saw it bore a hole in the earth, and you would find that there's no signs of sustained damage. Perhaps your eyes were playing tricks on you or anything, but maybe if there was damage, it repaired itself. Either way, it's looking good.
Interesting. That is not what I expected at all. I would have thought that would have been properly broken, but I guess a startographer's work is actually reputable for a reason. Well, that solves one issue for the night. And a way I'll put it.
Away it goes.
Well, I gotta go and check in on one other person who was on the receiving end of that and go and see if they're okay. So let's see if I can get that ritual going and see if Gil has been damaged at all by this bullshit.
Okay.
Now that everything's calmed down and not me being rudely awakened by everything that's gone on.
Do you have an offering for Gil?
I already did that, so I can't use that. I need to keep that. Well, in this situation, no, but I want to see just to make sure that he's not fucked up from that arcane explosion. It's completely up to him whether or not he chooses to receive my invocation anyway, so we shall see.
You would make your way into your forge and would find a nice, quiet place where you can sit yourself down and would calm and still your body and senses. And you would reach deep into that ethereal tether that you feel with this patron of yours, this deity, whatever you choose to describe him as, and would focus on it for a long while. Doing so in this way without sacrificing knowledge does take a considerable amount of additional time, but you would slowly feel the world around you begin to lose its solidarity as it would begin to bend and mesh and almost buckle with the passing of your senses between one world and another. you would arrive within the sanctum of Gilthun, and you would see that among these countless shelves of tomes of innumerable variety, many of them have a black scoring to them. The architecture of this prison seems to be somewhat strained. A few of the bluish embers that permeate through the place, as though wandering souls looking for knowledge they will never truly recover, are dwindling a bit more than they typically do. The red light coming through the upper atrium seems to be a bit more volatile than it normally is. And you would find yourself seated in here, chained to the ground in your typical fashion, unable to browse any of this knowledge truly for yourself. We met with silence for many long moments. Before, after a while, you would hear a voice echo. Garrock Mountain Hammer.
Yes.
So many questions, so little answers. What a conundrum to relish. A force that could potentially make me perish.
A force it was.
What do you plan to do with this wondrous item?
Originally, when I brought it to you, I was hoping to gain some insight into that. But, obviously, that object does not want to be seen by certain eyes. I guess what I want from that object is to give life a chance to flourish again, and in so, you a way to also live again.
In our cataclysmic previous experiments, I was able to glean but one observation about this device. It appears to favor mortal kind and adamantly eject entities attempting to touch it.
That is why I'm confused. There was an entity soul-bound to it. That wasn't like you or I.
Is that so? Do elaborate.
Unfortunately, they have all but passed now. But the thing is about them, from what we could glean, was that someone, I forget the name, not too important for the tale, decided that old creatures, squid-like in design, and rather intelligent apparently, could do with having the traits of humankind attached to them, and tried to amusedly fuse the two, resulting in the person I've known as Rin until recently.
If what you're saying is true, then this changes many things. It was long thought impossible to bridge the barrier between those which are considered human and those which are not. Should something that was considered
an entity become more human, then perhaps the opposite process is also possible. Perhaps if one has an intricate understanding on this process, one could flip between the two a number of times, perhaps at will, and reap the benefit of both.
From what I could glean, a process is possible, but not without a lot of side effects. At least that's what I observed from interacting with them.
This implies that the practice has yet to be perfected. There is no reward truly worth itself without risk associated.
Knowing these tidbits, would you have a suggestion for me?
Find out how this being was able to switch from one type of being living on this planet to another. If this process can be learned, perhaps perfected, then I could perhaps one day wield this bauble you call the cartographer core, and nothing will be kept from me from there forward.
I will bring you what I can.
Good. See to it that you do. As for the ones who created this object, do you intend to find another one of their kind?
It is understood that those attached to this device have the goal to find as many people like that as possible. The end goal being that should they all tinker with it, it will produce a device that could save humanity, I suppose.
And what of these individuals? Are they members of humanity?
The one that blessed people with this object when I got to see them, there was a couple of questions I was able to ask. One of which was if they were mortal. And they answered in a cryptic way that implies that they were, but aren't anymore. Or at least don't have much of that left.
Then that completes the model of the circle. Entities can become human, and human can defect to becoming entities. This is fascinating.
There is another curious part to that circle. That same person who, with so much knowledge and power to make such a device, seemed to almost reject the idea of possibly ever meeting another like his kind. For whatever reason. It seemed almost as if, despite the idea that multiple startographers together could achieve so much, the very idea was met with disdain. So I'm not sure it's quite a full circle.
These beings were once mortal. This implies, if they follow a similar path, at one point during their humanity, that there was a union among all of them. I'm curious as to what they could accomplish together in their unity, and why it ultimately resulted in them splitting apart.
I too wonder that. Either way, I suppose we'll find out once they get their hands on this device as we go through. That does give me a question to you, though.
Of course.
You being someone who has always been great at invention and once had access to all sorts of unfathomable things, where would you sit in this circle now then?
One thing I can tell you in confidence. I am not human. I am not mortal. How you mortals define the term entity is quite interesting to me. It seems as if almost a blanket terminology. Petty semantics that describe anything that isn't specifically a mortal. It leaves so much specification to be made. Yet it seems almost an alienation of hate for anything that isn't much like yourselves. You classify as a monster. You ask what I am. I am, under your definition, certainly an entity.
I only ask not because I care for the term entity. I think it's a stupid term, personally. But just because, well, a couple of people I travel with have their concerns, and a way to quiet them would be to have something I could tell them about that.
And what do they know of me? If they're anything like the rest of the denizens of Highshire, they have no reason to trust me.
They don't, but strangely enough, knowing what they do, they haven't said much. They're clearly not normal denizens of this place. They can at least think for themselves enough, which is always a good thing.
Let me ask you a question. Since humanity only trusts other members of humanity, then what is Zula to them?
I've been trying to find that out myself. I guess, well, it's seen as a beautiful, almost stereotypical woman, a entity of glorious power that bestows them all sorts of magic, much like you do with me. But recently things have been changing. She's been apparently getting emotional, giving visions of terrible things to come, and things like that. I'm not even sure it is a god in their sense. I think it fits just as well into the entity category as anything else they define. But yet that's seen as good rather than bad.
Why is it they revere this Zula, but fear anything else that remotely resembles her? There is a cognitive bias in the way they run their lives, in the way they view this world.
Desperation will do that to people, unfortunately.
I recommend you sleep on these thoughts and pursue them whenever the opportunity to do so presents itself. This is the way to true understanding.
I have but one more question.
You may speak.
core did not damage you. Did it not?
The core left its scars, but I am not so easily felled.
Then I apologize for causing that.
The cost of insight.
And I think with that then, Garrock will, I guess, slowly bring himself from the trance.
You would feel the chains binding you to the floor buckle as this chamber around you would warp and distort as you would find yourself going off out of this place and back into your forge.
I'm going to need that diary.
Oof.
And then he'll go to bed.
Off to bed you go. Meanwhile, da, 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 da. Hmm. Were there any further motions from Dagny or Dismas following your adventures through questionable literature and cleanliness?
Well, I think after getting cleaned and a full belly, Dagny will go ahead and use Arcane Recovery to get back a 3rd level spell slot. And she's going to use that slot that she recovered to cast Sending.
Okay.
She's going to go ahead and send a message to Dennis.
You would cast your spell and would feel this reach travel across Helios and would ping the mind of your brother.
And she's going to say, "Hello, brother. I should be making my way to you tomorrow. There's someone I need you to meet. Someone who needs our care."
All right. You would feel your message go out and want me to come back. Nice to hear you, sis. Hurry back soon. Whoever it is, I'm sure they're great. Be careful. And that'd be it.
Yeah. And with that, I think she'll take probably an hour to look through her fireside techniques to see if there's anything concerning Fireball before she takes her rest.
Okay. You would go to sit down in the common area with Elijah following behind you as he's doing his kind of petering off from you but not too far routine. You can see as you're coming back into the common area, there's a lot more Shire Guard that are in here than before, and they almost seem to be looking for something. Kind of strikes you as a bit odd, but you don't really see anything that's happening as far as a scene goes. You would spot Dismas, who is also in the common area, and Dismas, you would spot Dagny. And Vishanti seems to be in a semi-catatonic state, no pun intended, after finishing 2 entire plates of meatballs. You see him stumbling off to a nearby chamber to rest.
So overdid it again. She'll go ahead, sit down, and start reading.
All right. And as for reading your Fireside Techniques book, just go ahead and make an Arcana check to revise your current knowledge while you finish the remainder of the book.
23.
All right. Let me see. There is some mentions of the fireball spell based on everything that has previously been learned and mastered with the previous 2 applications. While they definitely state that a lot of the improvements to higher level spells are a bit more exponentially difficult than previous revelations, there is a theoretical possibility to make Fireball have a considerably longer range with a greater velocity, much like Scorching Ray and Firebolts. Now, you're definitely going to have to practice this with setting off a couple of fireballs here and there when you can spare the magic to do so, but upon some successful practice, you think that you can get definitely a longer range with the spell by increasing its velocity.
Okay.
It's all theoretical and you'll have to practice, but that's the extent of that book, and you think that with some good practice, you can definitely get somewhere.
Okay. Well, suppose that's enough learning for that. I'm gonna go ahead and take the rest I definitely needed after the long day I've had.
Hey, Dagny,
Yes, Elijah?
how do you do Fireball?
It's a very difficult spell, and one I think you're going to need training for, so I'm not going to be teaching you that.
Yet?
I'm not going to be teaching you that yet.
All right. Yes.
But for now, let's go ahead and get to bed.
Yeah, it's about that time, I guess. Although staying up the whole night is kind of fun, but...
Come on. We have an early start. Let's go.
yeah. And Dismiss,
Dismiss, are you coming?
Of course. Yeah. Take a long.
Alright. Well,
All right. And off to bed, everybody would head.
Yep.
And you would find a nice little, very clean and well-organized rooms to yourselves, where you manage to have your own space where you can decompress and get some well-needed rest as you drift off into peaceful sleep. To a very quick rest, you would find yourselves, as it almost seems as though with the moment your head hits the pillow, a whirlwind of time passes with a deep sleep awaiting you, and before you even know it, you would find your eyes fluttering on their pillow to see that the first signs of light coming through the window are already upon you, as just like that, the night has passed, and you're awake once again. You can see Dagny, Elijah took up a space in the room you're in. You can see that he did have his own bed, but he refused to use it, as he seems to be in a very peculiar position in the corner, almost like with his legs over his own head, as he is just in a strange contorted pose, out like a light.
but he's just in the corner, not on a bed?
Yep.
I will go over to him and kind of gently start to wake him up. Elijah.
Hey.
Earth are you doing over here?
Sleeping? Wait, was I not supposed to do that?
There's a perfectly good bed you could have slept on.
So?
Are you comfortable like that?
Yeah, actually.
Probably because you've gotten used to it. Have you never slept in a bed before?
Not enough to really enjoy it. You know, like the hard stone of the caves, like they really give you a lot of reinforcement. Kind of hurts after a while, but if you shift into just the right spot, it's pretty nice. It's like if you get like the right spot, it's super cool and it's just like yeah. If you sleep on a pillow, like it gets really warm. You gotta flip it over to the cold side, but then it gets warm again. So you have to keep flipping it, and then that just rock doesn't do that.
Just kind of has this melancholy look as he talks about that. Well, suppose we should go ahead and get dressed and make our way. Come on.
Alrighty, alright.
I have a question, B-Man, for this morning.
Sure.
How am I doing on that blood?
How are your reserves?
We never cemented that, but I suppose I did start with 10 rations. And obviously I'm a temper, so would that equate to essentially 10 vials?
Sure. I'm going to say you have the vial around your neck, which equates to a single ration, and you have a small supply that is often a separate container that you originally intended to use for ritualistic purposes.
But I
That
found
you,
myself here, yeah.
yeah. So it's not not the type of blood that you would have really drank from, given origins and just social tendencies. But yeah, you're definitely gonna have to tap into that.
Alright. Unless I do something else. But yeah, I should be good.
All right. And you would quench your thirst, and you feel revitalized, ready to take the day.
Oh yeah, I did want to ask something regarding that. Let me just click it. I am curious, can I expend a charge from drinking blood with this? To use this? This usually comes from a bite, but obviously it's blood. And drinking it would be the same thing. It's tied to proficiency bonus for uses. So could I use the use to benefit from one of the options?
What are you talking about? Like drinking the blood in your vial to get the benefits of the vampiric bite?
Yeah, because I imagine it's the same thing. Because biting somebody with a vampire bite, you get one of the.
It says
this
you
is
have
when
to.
you're-
It says you have to hit a creature.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't just sure.
No,
Yeah,
it
like
can-
that horrible haunted book you have. Oh, look.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, never mind then.
yeah, you can't get a benefit from the vampiric bite by just biting like a vial of blood. Like it needs to be something living.
Okay.
All right. And as for the members of the party who are out in the far reaches of Highshire in their various corners, Cobweb, you would emerge within your hole in the wall, feeling incredibly well rested, given that you have all the familiar accommodations of your old ways of life. You almost forgot that you have some dire responsibilities for a moment and wake up on recounts of all the shenanigans that you used to pull to pass time before it hits you like a ton of bricks that, oh yeah, we got important things to do.
Cobweb's going to quickly scrawl a note for his ma, since she didn't come back last night. So it's just gonna be like, hey, I was here. Don't mind all the blood on the floor. It's not mine.
You would write down that note and would leave it posted in a very visible spot, to which I presume you are on your way. All right. As you would don your cloak to avoid suspicion once again, scurrying through the caveways, avoiding prying eyes as they seem to glance over you through the caves and through Highshire. Roll perception. A surprisingly quiet morning for the current times. And it would take a better part of over an hour to make it back into the Hall of the Inquisition, passing by a number of various matters of business. You can spot along the way there's one of a variety of, looks like, working class citizens that are off to a little offshoot just before the interior wall. They seem to be tucked around a building, shielding themselves from most prying eyes, but you do get a glimpse of them. One of them seems to have a sort of spying glass, a very large one for what you've typically seen, and they seem to be taking turns looking up towards the sky. Now you know that this is kind of a social no-no, but you can definitely see they are looking up towards the hole in the veil of the pillar. And you would see there is still the mingling of cosmic energy that seems to be keeping that hole sustained. It's really unsure just with the glance of moving through Highshire if that hole's getting bigger or not. Kind of hard to tell, but it's definitely active. But regardless of that, you would continue onwards, making your way through Highshire into the interior and eventually at the capital, as through a ton of zigging and zagging, you would arrive once again. And
He's got his little jug on his hip. Hmm?
and as for Garrock, you are stirring in your sleep a little bit, mulling over the words almost subconsciously of Gilthune. And you would awaken and you swear you hear a thunderous pounding on a door, perhaps splinters being struck of a door, as you have a sinking feeling, not again, before you are to try to get a peek at the door to see what's going on, and then you suddenly go and you wake up again in your bed. It seems like you were almost dreaming of your door being broken down, as you awaken for real to a very peaceful morning with no signs of anyone breaking down said door.
Let me in. Let me in.
I wonder if I could make a door that's paladin proof. That would be nice for my sleep. And I'll go up, get some breakfast, and say hello to I forget his name because I'm terrible. Say hello to Tyrael, and if he's there, and then head out, I guess.
To keep things brief, Tyrael would have been finishing up a breakfast of his own before you would climb up the ladder, and he's scarfing down his meal. He looks up at you, then back down at his meal again, and up at you, and he goes, Garrock! Where did you... Oh, that was the... Did you... How was that?
Yeah, that's where the blanket came from.
I thought I was going crazy.
I mean,
Wow.
everyone is, so you'd fit in with everyone else. I'm gonna take something to go, if you don't mind. I'm going out again because I can never catch a break, apparently.
Yeah. The conflicts are catching up with us a little bit too, but it's your official Inquisitor business, huh?
Official my ass. It's a load of bullshit, but
When is it not? Well, I won't pry too much about it, but I enjoy keeping on coming back here during the nights. It lets us know that everything is maybe not as bad as we all think out there. That's just what I choose to believe, you know?
that's a good thing to choose to believe.
Yeah. So you better keep coming back.
Well, I don't plan on disappearing anytime soon.
That's good.
Anyway, have a good day as well. Blessings upon you and all that good stuff.
He gives a smile and a nod as off he would go. And within good time on catching something of a ride. You can't hail any carts initially, so you would hitch a ride on your guardian, who has something of a jog in place before you eventually get a ride where you don't keep getting those weird looks of you riding one of those things.
What are you talking about? That sounds awesome.
I mean, you can keep riding all the way if you want.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Hell yeah.
Making a statement, you would ride on the back of your guardian all the way back towards the Hall of the Inquisition. People seem to clear the way given the stomping of one of those things. It's almost second nature to them now to get out of the way when they hear one coming. You make it in due time. Under an hour, you would arrive.
Oh yeah, that's how I'm gonna go about the city now.
You would make your way through the Hall of the Inquisition, and I'm going to say for brevity's sake that both of you would get the rough idea that your friends probably spent the night here and probably were in the common area, and you make your way over there. And of course, one of the last ones to roll out of bed would be a very almost ruffled-looking Vishanti, who seems to have just woken up and seems to have almost forgot what time it is and rushed out to see everyone. The parties reunited.
Okay, well, I feel like there's an order of operation here, but
Well,
I'm gonna try and pull out like the map of Highshire really quick.
Okay.
And
Things. Find it.
So the because I'm trying to remember the what Obosh told me about the tree near the southwestern gate. Would I know where that southwestern gate would be?
So the most southwestern gate is going to be the bottom left corner, that little outcropping that has a city in the center, a good space away from the walls. That would be the most direct area to what he's talking about. To which you would remember, if you take a straight shot south, there should be some cliffs nearby that's allegedly supposed to have a blue shimmering tree atop a cliff.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, the Silverhide estate is more towards the north.
A bit so, yes. Now, if you're on horseback, which you've been inclined to believe you will be soon, you can definitely hit both stops. Within a day's time, of course.
Yeah.
Less than.
Alright, well. Okay, well, she gets the group together and she says, well, I'm trying to figure out an order of importance here because I want to be able to collect whatever Rin left behind for me to the southwest. But I also want to make sure that Elijah is in capable hands, and I told my brother I would be coming before I slept last night.
Wait, are you not capable hands?
have you seen what comes out of her hands? It's all fire and mind attacking. I don't think she has very stable hands to hold people with normally. Also, I don't think you want to go outside the walls. That just seems like a bad idea.
I definitely don't want him outside. It's not safe for him.
I know, but I'm asking him that too.
When is anything ever safe for me? I've been out there before. I know my way.
Have you been around during one of those auric blasts from the rings?
Well, kind of. It was kind of rough, but technically, yes.
You want to do something real cool for us?
I am pretty cool.
You
for
are
sure.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seeing as we're gonna be out and about, you mind keeping tabs on things that are going on around here for when we get back?
Oh, I can do more than just that. Tell me what kind of dirt you want me to scrape up, and I'll get it for you, big guy.
Oh gosh. You're giving me too much option now.
I doubt he'd be able to keep tabs here on the Inquisition, seeing as I'm going to the estate with him today.
You say that, but he's allowed to come to and fro.
I can get around.
Yeah, let's see what you can find out while he's here. It'd be nice to have somebody that, we can trust here as well, looking after Agoda, because she is losing her marbles on top of everyone else now.
The last
Huh.
thing I want after what she's seen.
But yeah, just keep an eye around this place. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
If you do that, I want you to be extremely careful. Don't take anything.
Aw.
More importantly, do not get caught.
Aw.
All that stuff you probably did in the underground anyway.
Yeah.
For God's sake, Garrock.
What?
I feel like you tried to undermine my words when all I want is for Elijah to be safe.
Oh, the kid's a smart one. He'll figure it out.
And also, nowhere's safe here anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, don't we got a bunch of monsters knocking on our door? I don't think anywhere's really safe, so you might as well let me do crazy stuff.
And also, he's not exactly incapable if he's lived in the underground for this long and put up with Rin on top of that.
Yeah, he was a real pain in the ass sometimes.
He's more than capable.
Alright, well, let's go get our horses and let's get him to my home.
Yeah, let's do it!
Alrighty then. It's gonna be a while since I've ridden one of those.
Finishing your...
Horses
Yeah.
aren't good up hills.
That's what you thought. Finishing your business, you would leave the common area and you would enter the more central zone of the Hall of the Inquisition proper, where you would meet up with a Inquisitor who would flag you down and would show you to the stable area upon making mention of being offered one. They have no difficulty recognizing you all for who you are, and they would show you off to a side door where there appears to be a landing area for various bouts of cargo, shipments, and horseback patrol, where waiting would be two very large and capable looking noble steeds that are clad in this iron and leather woven armor that seems suitable for the world beyond. They have these large saddlebags that are perfect for taking a fair amount of cargo along with them. Definitely being well suited. As the Inquisitor would give you a brief introduction on, for those who are not acclimated, the proper technique for seating them and some basic commands, before she would finally conclude. Now, just to give a very brief disclaimer, if you haven't ridden one of these before, it is a skill that takes time to hone. So if you don't feel comfortable, don't have to send you off on one of these now. If improperly handled, they can be just as much of a danger to you as anything else out there. Especially, these are not small horses. Does anyone have any sort of expertise handling these animals?
I have a bit of experience.
Have you been on horseback proper?
I used to handle them. I rode them less than I handled them, but I think I can ride.
Very well. These are some of the most well-mannered beasts that we have here within the walls still available. So, provided that you take good care of them, they will take good care of you.
Alright then.
And with that, these horses would be left to your keep, as you've gained two very capable steeds. It seems like you are given the free leash whenever ready to head off wherever you best see fit.
So, we got given 2 horses, and there's 4 of us, and 1 person that can run faster than a horse anyway, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, Vishanti kind of does some athletic stretches. Don't worry about this one. I'll be able to keep up and probably run circles around your four-legged friends.
Well, I'd rather you keep pace since you don't know the way.
Well, I could scout ahead. This one knows a thing or two about seeing things before they become problems.
Well, since you're fast enough, at least you can keep within 100 feet of the horses then.
That can be done.
Who's gonna ride the other one then?
I mean, I only have a little knowledge of riding horses. Dismas,
Yes?
do you feel you can operate one of these creatures?
To be honest with you, I've not much experience with animals. However, I do believe myself capable enough of keeping the beast on course with the reins.
Very
You
well
have
then.
animals in the underground?
Not of this kind, no.
That is a conversation to ask for later.
Yeah, I guess I'll go say hi to my designated horse.
All right. Make an animal handling check.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do the same.
Hopefully he
Go
doesn't
ahead for it.
smell something off about me.
And I'll give myself a guidance because that's free.
Oh, so close.
Yeah,
Wow, I rolled horribly.
What the fuck? Come
That's
on.
bad for me, goddamn. Nope, alright, it's just real bad for me today. God, that's so unfortunate.
Fantastic.
Garrock, you're trying to remember the proper procedures on directing these animals, and you feel like you remember a number of things, but you mix up what's supposed to mean what, and you end up confusing the horse a great deal. As it backs up against one of the barn gates and slams into it, makes a loud noise and almost spooks it a little bit. As you need to take some time to calm it down to the best of your ability, you definitely have to brush up on some of your skills. As for Dismas, you would approach one of the other horses that has been calmly to itself, and it would turn towards you as you extend a hand, and it would give a single sniff, and this horse would immediately rear up onto its hind legs and gives out a very startling whinny as it too would back up away from you and seems visibly agitated.
Yeah, I will go up to it and try and calm it down.
Make an animal handling check.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
This is a big animal, and whatever Dismas did definitely spooked it. You would see that there's a nearby guardsman elite who runs over and manages to get the animals back under control. And as for Garrock, he would give you some pointers on the right way. So he essentially
cheat and do it myself, don't worry.
Yeah, he would straighten things out. You have a basic idea, but he basically tells you you zigged when you should have zagged, and you have a now a more fundamental understanding of how to direct these creatures.
Yeah.
As for Dismas, you feel like this horse has an innate fear of you.
So, can I, just do, this for the sake of, brevity? I give myself proficiency in animal handling so I can do this properly.
Absolutely.
On top of what the, Shire Guardsman is telling me.
As you draw upon what he's told you, and you would use some arcane encouragement within your own mind to pull knowledge seemingly almost out of the ethereal, as events around this place of animals being handled almost seem to permeate in your mind. And almost in a few moments, it's like you were once a masterful horseback rider, and it's as if it all just suddenly came back to you. And taking care of these animals now seems like it should be a breeze.
Yeah.
And for brevity's sake, you would disclose a lot of what you recalled using that to the members of the party.
Okay. Let's not waste time. Should go ahead and pull herself up onto the horse.
You do so, and using Garrock's assisting hand, you would manage to get onto it. Nice and steady.
Yep.
Now we have to actually get going.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty poor showing if one of us got squished before we actually left.
Yeah. Imagine that. We're the saviors of the world, and one of us got squished out of the opening gate.
Yeah, you guys have killed some big monsters. It'd be kind of lame if you got squashed by a horse.
It would be hilariously funny, though.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, not at the time, probably.
No, not at the time, probably. But anyway, yeah, horse that way, I guess.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I'll do my best not to freak out the horse more than I already have.
Yep.
Yeah, you would be taking a rear seat as to not disturb the horse any more than you already have. So, with your noble steeds, where do you wish to go?
It's a
Look for
Silverhide estate.
Oh, the hide estate, yeah. You keep forgetting
All
we have a
right.
child we have to dispose of.
Mm.
Off you go to the Silverhide estate. Everyone may roll perception.
As we're riding past, I'm gonna also get a
see so
look
much on
at
top of this
the
horse.
hole that's in the veal.
Hey. Okay.
Nice.
I'll add a d4 for shits and giggles.
Right.
Anyone?
I didn't do them for free anyway.
Out you would all head. With the increasing morning sun glimmering over the hole in the veal, everyone would get a decent look as you head out of the more high-backed walls of the inner kingdom into the valley proper. And it definitely doesn't appear to be any smaller, but if it's gotten bigger, it's hard to say. There's the crackling fizzle of that white energy of the Cartographer Corps still assailing the veal of the pillar in the region for which the original blast came from. It's a bit concerning. And with your good perception checks, you would see off in the far distance 2 arcs of falling stars would sail in the far distance away from Highshire, landing in the western territories beyond the valley of the kingdom. They're still out there. There's the usual shuffle of people about their usual trades. As you would see, there is an increasing influx of people heading in rather than out, most of which are on carts that have a minimal amount of supplies, and you see many people that are bandaged up or being actively tended to from wounds they have sustained, laying down flat in cart beds, as it seems like they, whatever fight they are in, lost. Continuing onwards, you would see that there are, among the normal mingle of people who are working to turn their homes into fortresses, there is the occasional glance of more seedier figures. You would spot that there are 2 gentlemen that are seemingly assisting a couple with unloading things from a cart. And they have this deep red, almost iridescent coat-tail dressing to them that seems to bear a striking resemblance to Sir Reed, the gentleman for which you had encountered with that strange display when you first got back to the kingdom. They're definitely out there. And before long, within maybe half an hour's travel, making significant pace on these very strong and capable horses, you would arrive at the Silverhide residence. we are.
Feels good to be home again.
Pretty fancy digs.
I wonder how fancy the halls are around here.
Suppose we'll see. And I think as they're sort of crossing the bridge that's here, she kind of remembers a song that her mother used to sing, and she's using a technique that's kind of been in her family for generations, which allows them to carry their voice over great distance. It was kind of used in like the early days of the the Silverhide family, when they used to be like hunters and like breeders, herders, farmers. And she would kind of use that technique to kind of be able to sing across the distance and sort of signal to her family that she is home.
All right. You would give the recital of what you remember from your childhood as your two large steeds would trot on through this familiar part of your hometown. You can see that there's the continued notion of people coming from farther away than you would typically expect. It looks like people in the process of trading more critical supplies. People seem to be coming here for food. In exchange, they're getting 2x4s and small iron fittings. You can see a lot of these houses have been reinforced with boarded windows, and you can see that there are small additions to rooftops, small little crow's nests almost that would be an advantageous place to stay and particularly guard the place with a crossbow in hand. Looks like they've made their own additions to guard themselves for hopefully what isn't to soon come.
She kind of smiles to herself, knowing that Dennis was involved in that.
Undoubtedly. And of course, at a nearby house, you would see that there is busy work being done as one of these posts is being erected. And you would see the familiar glimmer of Dennis himself working with townspeople to better prepare. As he's hard at work and doesn't notice your approach, despite your song. The loud banging of the hammer was probably the result of that.
Well, she'll just kind of glance over, but she'll keep making her way towards the main house.
Yep, just next door, you would arrive at the Silverhide estate proper, and it's as homely as ever.
All right, we're here.
Okay, okay. All right, it's a nice place. All right, I could get used to this. I mean, it doesn't have any iridescent like stuff like the hall, but this is this is nice.
Of course
Well,
it is.
do you want to go back and live underground?
Look,
Yeah.
I didn't say that. Okay.
She'll go ahead and get off the horse as safely as she can, and she'll start calling out, "Hello! I'm home! Dennis!"
You would hear overhead that the banging of a hammer next door would stop, and you would see, after just a moment, someone running your way as Dennis notices that the cavalry has arrived and he is running to greet all of you.
I run over
As-
towards him and I give him a big hug.
Daddy! Oh, finally!
Oh my god. Oh, I missed you so much.
Still in one piece? Look at you. Look at you. Oh. What are those on your legs? Those are awesome. Did you make those? Wow, oh, you made those, didn't you?
A friend of mine did.
Wow. I mean, wow. Maybe being a cartographer isn't so bad.
Oh, it is.
Oh. Well, nothing that she can't handle.
Mm-hmm. She is very capable.
Sorry. Dennis, these are my fellow compatriots of Patrol 26. The big one is Garrock Mountain Hammer.
Hello.
The green one is Lord Cobweb.
Charmed.
The furry one is Vishanti.
Hey,
And-
this one
and-
says hello.
And this is our newest member, Dismas.
Good morning.
And this one, as she goes over and sort of stands behind Elijah and puts both hands on his shoulders, this is Elijah.
Hey man, what's up?
Everyone, this is my brother, Dennis Silverhide.
He would give a warm smile and a nod. He just seems like an honest, hard-working young man that still has his hammer in hands, as there is beads of sweat on his forehead.
I can see you've been hard at work. I've seen your fine work.
Yeah, everyone's got something to do. It's been, well, it's been kind of scary around here, but, I mean, I always kind of think that if you're out there in the thick of it and you're coming back okay, then what do we have to worry about here?
Have there been any attacks since I've been gone?
A few, but nothing that's really quite gotten to the mouth of the village just yet. It looks like that Veal is going through some trouble. I think it might have receded a little. Hard to really say for certain. I don't know how that stuff
I've been
works.
keeping an eye on it. It's hard to tell, but I suppose with the attacks, Erasima's been taking care of that.
Oh, yeah. She's been sterner than ever. I mean, I can't really blame her because she's just trying to get things done, but she just gets so exhausting sometimes, but she means well, you know, we all do.
No, is she here?
Yeah, she should be inside. She was working on something out here, but then she went inside pretty quickly. I think she was working with someone. She seemed like she was in a hurry.
Well, suppose I should announce myself then, and I will go ahead and start heading inside. Come on, everyone!
Oh, we're all going in. Oh, okay.
Well, I'll
Do we
just
just leave
kind
the
of...
horses out here? Or...
I
What's
shall
that?
see if I can find some place to tie them off.
Okay.
There would be a nearby post for which you can tie them off. You question whether or not it's strong enough to hold back these very capable beasts, but you imagine with their decent temperament, it shouldn't be an issue. Although, you leading them may be an issue, you think.
On second thought, Sir Meltonhammer, would you
Hello.
mind doing this? I am afraid the beast do not like my scent.
Sure.
And easily done, as you would recall on the knowledge that you had retrieved with the use of your spell and would tie them off. And there is calm as ever.
Go ahead and head inside the house.
You would...
Yeah, don't feel too bad, Dismas. You know, people say I stink too.
I see. Also, I am curious, Sir Cobweb. The name Lord, is that your first name or is it a title?
What's a title? Well, okay, I'm gonna level with you. I'm not actually a king. You know, it's more semantics at this point. But I'm getting there, I guess.
It is always good to aim high.
Eh.
Off you would go.
Mhm.
And would approach this homestead that has a large wraparound porch that would cover half of the home. And Dagny, as you lead the way, eager to see the inside of your dear home once again, you would hear with your passive perception there is some muffled voices coming from inside, and you would catch a brief glimpse of what you hear.
I don't understand. Things are crazier than ever, and now you just walk in. Like, people are probably looking for you. I don't This is too much for me. I can't deal with this.
Seems like things are in dire straits. Is the door locked or can I open it?
The door appears to be unlocked.
I will open the door. And kind of lightly knock.
You would knock, but whatever seemingly heated argument that's going on inside continues. It doesn't seem like they notice.
I'll open the door, kind of usher everyone quietly in while I try to listen to the rest of this conversation.
And you would head inside carefully, as I presume everyone is one by one filing in.
Yeah.
And you would listen into this argument as Dagny. You would
Yes.
hear the familiar voice of your stepmother, Irasima, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
And you would hear her speaking rather sternly. There's so much going on here, and now, what kind of help did you bring here by coming here as you are? If people are going to be looking for you, if there is people that are after you, the last thing that we need are people like that coming here, making life hell for. I'm having a hard time even articulating myself. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, it has merits, but just for that to happen, did anyone follow you? And you would.
I'm gonna try and peek into the room, see if I can see this other person she's talking to.
You would peek in, and you would see Hiroshima, as everyone else would see her, as her eyes are locked with a hooded figure that has their back to you, and they are in rugged shape. This doesn't appear to be someone that you recognize, although the armor is a bit familiar as well. Let me grab it. As you get a glimpse for who she's yelling at.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and have a firebolt at the ready. I'm going to sort of whisper to Garrock, there's a silent echo here.
And you're telling me this because you want me to bust down the door and attack them, or
Just be
what?
prepared for anything.
I always am.
Okay. I'm going to kind of wait till there's a pause in the conversation, and then I'm going to bust down the door, just pointing a firebolt at this person.
FBI, get down!
Everybody get down on the ground. If you move us an inch, I'll shoot you. Anyway.
You would bust down that door, and Irasima would stop mid-sentence as she was about to say something else, but you interrupt. As
I'll
her
say,
eyes,
don't do anything stupid, you.
Your
Oh wow,
stepmother
she's very green.
would look over at you. Dagny! And upon your voice and Irasima stating your name, the cloaked figure would turn around, and through the shroud, you would hear a somewhat familiar voice come from within. Paisula Dagny! And you see a shake of the head as they would pull back the hood. It's the face of your father. Conrad Silverhide has come home.
Mother. And she'll just drop the firebolt.
He would storm up to you and would embrace you very strongly.
No, I kind of hold my arms out, just like, what are you doing here? How did you get here? Why are you dressed like one of the silent echoes? What is this?
You've gotten so big. I'm sorry. Let me recap for you. And you've brought some friends.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Introductions to come later. Explain yourself now.
Well, I was locked up. It's been a long time, Dagny, inside of a cell. And after that thing in everyone's heads and things started getting crazy, it seems like there were less and less people working the jailhouse, and then there came a night when there's a bunch of people in these suits not sure if they were lawyers or some kind, but they came in very quickly, twiddling keys, let everybody out, and told us to be on our way and go home immediately. I hardly had any time to argue, but who was I to argue?
They let you go?
Looks that way.
I don't understand. Like,
I don't either. This doesn't make sense. They would just let a bunch of criminals go?
I mean,
Something
where
is
were
wrong
you?
here.
Where did they take you?
It was, somewhere bordering the wall of the, inner city. To the east. And, I'd been in there for so long, it's kind of hard to give outside directions, but I was able to eventually find my way home. And on our way out, of course, we had nothing but our rag tunics, and there was an abundance of various cloaks and an assortment of different pieces of things that we could use, and they were very insistent that we bundle up and keep a low profile and to leave quietly as not to make a scene. I'm not really sure what that meant. I imagine if people all being mass released was something controversial. I would certainly agree on that, but
That makes no sense. Was there an attack on the walls nearby?
Well,
They're
we were
trying
close.
to put more people between the center and the outside.
Well, we were close to the inside wall, so if there was an attack nearby, we had heard nothing of it. There's just a bunch of 4, maybe 5 well-dressed men that released us and provided us with clothing and told us to go.
Well-dressed men. Did they seem like nobles?
Oh, certainly. Or at least someone that works in the interior by the looks of it. Presentable. Well articulated, I presume. I didn't see any official markings of Highshire, but if it was a dire situation, which it seemed to be, I imagine they wouldn't have time for formalities.
Something wrong here. We
The
might have
important thing is, I'm here now, and I can make a difference. And you're here too, and everyone's gotten so big. It's been years. And you're walking on your own. You don't even have a cane.
I still have it. I have something that helps me a little bit better now.
Well, you've always been creative, Dagny. Ever since you were very little. That still does leave a few questions.
I'm sorry for the interruption, Arasima, but it's somewhat important.
Well, I'm glad you've come home. It's important to remember where your roots are.
Do you mind if we talk
Of
alone?
course. Yes. And are you saying that to Irasima or Conrad?
To Arasima.
Yep. She would nod her head. Conrad, get me wrong, I'm happy to see you. We just, to make sure that whatever happened here is within good interest for everyone. It just seems so strange. I suppose since you're here, have some decent food and say hello to your kids. I'll come out eventually. And Irasima is beckoning you to an adjacent room. And she gives a acknowledging nod to the rest of the party. She seems a little confused that there's suddenly so many people in the house.
Hello, I am also green.
Believe
Yeah.
me, I am also confused.
Yeah,
Elijah, if you could
definitely-
wait outside the door till I call for you.
I am going to kind of just hang out outside by the front door because we just walked into a family matter.
Yup.
Gonna go look for a cool stick, probably. And also, I have to run to the store real quick. I'm very sorry. I'll be back in like 15 minutes.
Just as
Sorry.
Gareth is just stepping out. So how does green-scaled woman and like a black-haired man make a blonde child?
And
percent.
Conrad's still in the room. Are you making this an open forum?
No, I'm just saying it more to myself. If he wants to answer, by all means. I'm just very confused. I don't even know what that woman is, and I don't mean it in a harmful way. I'm just in a genuinely confused manner.
As for Irasima and Dagny, you would go off into a side room where the door would close, and you would get something of a quick hug from her now that all of that has been straightened away, and she would look at you with a bit of relief in her eyes. I was wondering every day.
Well, as you can see, I'm still in one piece.
I had no doubt you were capable. How have you been?
I'm doing well enough.
Dagny.
I wish I could tell you it's complicated.
Isn't it ever? But I understand. Just know that you always have a home here where people care about you.
I know that I have a home, but I'm hoping that you could provide us a home for someone who is in my care.
Someone in your care? Did you?
I made a promise to someone that no matter what happened, I would make sure he's taken care of, and I intend to keep it, and not only that, to keep him safe. He's lived in Undershire for most of his life, and partly in the Outlands too, but he's a smart kid. He may try and get himself into trouble. He has a tendency to be dirty, but I feel like he could have a better life here while I'm out there.
Goodness. Azula. What these people do.
I know.
Undershire is no place for a kid, let alone the Outlands.
His outlook on the world is so... I don't know. I feel like he could definitely learn a little bit more. He may seem stubborn, but he's willing to learn. And I'm hoping you can do that for him the same way you did for me.
Of course. He will have a home here. The same as you, the same as your brothers. I feel like this is, based on what you told me, something that he never had?
I mean, somewhat, but then he decided to get himself involved with Portia Palethorpe. So, whether it's to keep him safe and away from prying eyes, or hoping that Portia doesn't try to pull him in to her own little schemes. I mean, from what he's told me, Portia seems cunning, but probably not as smart and capable as he is, so I want him to grow here while I'm gone.
I promise you, Dagny, for as long as we're still here, even if we have to go somewhere else if things get bad. If you leave this one here, he'll be a Silverhide.
1 second. I'm gonna peek out the door and I'll say, Elijah, can you come here, please?
You see that Elijah has picked up a particularly expensive-looking pot and is kind of giving it a once-over, almost giving it an up-and-down bounce for the heft before he's like, oh, shit. Huh? I didn't break it yet.
I just kind of give him that really look before I say, come on.
He just gently puts it back down and backs away from it slowly before walking up.
And I'll kind of lead him in by his shoulders and I'll say, Erasima, this is Elijah, the boy I've told you about.
Hey!
Elijah?
Yeah.
This is my stepmother, Erasima Silverhide.
Erasima. Okay. Sorry. Hey, what's up? I'm Elijah. What's up? You see that there is a smile that breaks her stern look, and she would essentially lower herself down to Elijah's height and would put her hands onto his shoulders, and there's just a warm look and a nod. Hello, Elijah. You've been through enough, haven't you? Would you like a home? We can give you one here. Is that something you would like? And Elijah's kind of happy-go-lucky, almost mischievous demeanor would quickly wash away, and he looks down at the ground and becomes almost a bit sullen for a moment. Well, yeah, I never really thought I would have the chance. I mean, she'd have me. And without further words, Irasima would embrace the child. Well, consider yourself a Silverhide. As there is a warm moment between the two of them. And as for Dagny, as you're taking in the sight, for some reason you find your eyes drifting off to the far side of the room, where you would spot a decorative mantle place. And just above it, there is a very large, detailed painting of your mother. Almost it looks like she is looking at you fondly. Hang on, I don't think I painted the right thing.
We didn't.
Your own mother. Oh my god.
Wow.
It's almost as if this painting is watching over you with an air of almost acceptance and approval.
I'll kind of, while they're having their moment, I'm kind of quietly going over, looking up at the portrait, and she is just looking up at the portrait with tears in her eyes. And she'll kind of quietly say, "You kept it." Didn't think you would keep something like this.
Are you saying that to yourself or
To Erasima.
of the painting?
Yeah.
And of course, Erasima's wrapping things up with Elijah, and she would rise and looks over to you, acknowledging what you said. Of course, I had complicated thoughts at first about being here. But in the end, she is important to you, important to your brothers, important to Conrad. What else is there to say?
Kind of had a rough start there, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit. It did take a while, didn't it? A little bit of a crash course. Anyways, enough of this. I'm beginning to feel a bit lightheaded. I'm good to go get some water. Come on along, Elijah. I can show you around.
Where are the little ones? Where's Belinda and Inga?
Well, we have a family friend who is in the interior. And with everything that's happening here, there was a position for them to be sent away somewhere safer. Of course,
Staying with.
an old friend of mine. His name is Taro, and he's keeping a close eye on the two of them. They deserve to have at least some semblance of safety. Perhaps even Elijah may find a place there with them, to be around kids his age. But for now, we can settle for here.
kind of wipe her eyes real quick and start. Well, I suppose I should introduce you to the others.
Right, you seem to have brought something of a circus here.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure Elijah was taken care of before we tend to our other business.
Naturally.
But yeah, I will go out and kind of join up with the others. I imagine they're having a time with Conrad.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, while all that is happening, is anyone doing anything in particular within the Silverhide estate? It's definitely a very homely farmhouse sort of feel that has some definitely nice amenities to it.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, when the family drama started, I excused myself to outside by the front door.
Gotcha.
I think Garrock followed me? Or, I don't know what he's doing.
Garrock, what are you up to?
What am I up to? I mean, I'll just wander the estate.
Okay.
Sure. I'll have a look around. Why not?
Yeah. It's mostly quiet within the farmhouse itself. It's a bit similar to the interior of your own place, although this seems to be a little bit more countryside than what you're used to. And there's definitely a large connecting barn that has some farm animals that are at their various places. There's definitely some supplies that are seemingly thrown about and tucked in odd corners in the farmhouse. The gates are wide open, and it seems like there's been a lot of traffic that's been coming through here. You imagine that they've been trading off resources to the nearby homes to further bolster their homes into something defendable, and this is just supplies to do so.
Interesting. Nothing I'm gonna pick up though.
Yeah. And as for Irasima and Elijah, Dagny, you would see that Elijah's getting something of a tour over the course of the next 20 or so minutes throughout the house. A little bit of family history. He seems to be cracking his jokes, and Irasima is tolerant of his increasingly mischievous nature. But
Do I see where my father has decided to park himself?
it looks like he is outside a little bit down the ways, and you can see he is having a conversation with Dennis. Looks like he just learned that he's back.
I will go ahead and make my way over.
You would do so, and you can see that Dennis is asking a series of similar questions that you and Irasima did, but your father seems to be working adamantly to ease his nerves.
I'll approach and I suppose the first question I'll ask will be, why were you there to begin with? They never told me why.
He would look over to you very suddenly, and his eyes drift away from you for a while, and he's quiet. I'm not sure if we should talk about it right now. Not a good time.
I'm gonna roll an insight, see if I can glean if it was something bad.
Okay, roll insight.
15.
There's definitely some mixed emotions on his face. If he did something bad, it seems to track, but he seems almost saddened in a way.
Well, to me, it seems like it's as good a time as any.
Dagny, later today, if you're still going to be around, I know you have a busy life making a difference out there. I can lay it down as best as I can. Is that okay?
What time is it right now?
It's still mid-morning.
Well, I can't really be... don't plan on staying too long. I just wanted to make sure Eliza was taken care of before we... I have business to do in the southwest, so I should be leaving soon.
Oh, I understand. Well, I have a lot to do around here anyways. I need to start pulling my weight. It's overdue that I started making a difference here again.
Well, before you start making a difference, you can start telling me what you did. Do you know how scary that was, just seeing you getting locked up and taken away with no explanation?
I know. And the way you feel, it's totally validated. But to explain it in a way that makes sense, I need to find the time to make the words. Does that make sense?
Suppose.
And you would see Dennis off the side. He's giving you a bit of a nod, as if to validate what he's saying.
I'm not sure what else to say right now.
Well, if you're going back out there, know that not a day has gone by where I haven't thought about you. And I know that you're going to do great things, no matter how bad it seems.
She'll just kind of slowly approach and, she won't put her arms around him, but she'll just kind of lean her head against his chest.
He would put a hand to your shoulder in a very caring way. And before long, you would conclude your interactions with him if you don't have any other points to make with him.
No.
Yeah. It seems like he's wasting no time on getting involved, as things would conclude and you would meet up once again with Irasima and Elijah, as they too would give you some parting words. Elijah has a lot of growing to do. But
I know.
I will set the boy straight. I promise.
Thank you. She'll kind of kneel down and look up at Elijah. Please try to be on your best behavior.
Don't tell me what to do.
Gonna have to get used to listening to your elders.
You're calling yourself old.
Well, I'm not young, am I?
Nope.
And I suppose you'll be
Iris.
running into Inga and Belinda soon enough.
Irasima just has a very disciplinary look towards Elijah already. You can tell that she is going to rework this child.
I'm gonna try and check on you at least once a day. And I'm gonna pull out my spell book and just show him the sending spell and just the basic wording that it's a message of 25 words or less.
Ooh. He would look at that. Oh, that's cool. Hey, can you send fart noises through that?
I suppose I could.
No, I mean, that's the thing I was going to do if I can reply. You know, spice it up a little bit. You could use more humor in your life.
Suppose. It's kind of how dismal it is out there. I could definitely use a laugh every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll talk to you soon then. I think this is gonna be I don't really know what this is gonna be. This is some whirlwind stuff, you know. But I think it could be nice, maybe.
kind of stand up and ruffle his hair and sort of wait over by the horses.
They would, Irasima and Elijah would give you some parting glances as they bid you adieu. Is there any activities from the rest of the party, or is everyone essentially ready to get going?
Nope, good to go.
Nope.
All right. And with that, everyone would mount back onto the noble steeds, and off you would go, leaving Elijah to a second chance at a childhood.
Go ahead and start making our way towards the southwest gate.
All right. Within roughly half an hour's time, at full speed ahead on these horses, you would make your way to the south gate, or at least what's still remaining of it, as the walls near the gated house are maybe at best half the height they used to be, riddled with cracks and scoring from some sort of intense heat, as there are impact marks both on the outside as well as the inside. There's a still standing arcane contraption that's mounted on one of the turrets that seem to be pointed outwards in mostly working condition. It looks like that's done some work, as the wall immediately supporting it seems mostly intact. I presume you're heading straight out.
Yep.
All right. And with that, you would exit out the gatehouse to the remnants of the Shire Guard intermingled with anyone who's still able to help, as out of that house you are southbound into the valley once again, heading for nearby cliffs, actively searching for a tree with blue shimmering leaves. And I'd like to end the session there.
Sure.
Very nice. So, friendly reminder that this